Elvis.
Like, suck my dick. Everybody shot. Gang. Stop cheat on nigga. Hey, watch the G to the sky, never put it over for my walk. Smoking everybody. Even my girl, I know that. Everything dead. Come on, CJ, you see me when I ain't see you. Nigga, you ain't even make a move. So how the fuck when you see me, you gon' shoot? I don't know, that him in the booth. He say he gon' totally pop on my coat. Nigga suck my dick like ain't nobody gon' spend how I saw God. Hey, y'all was jacking out, wasn't y'all friend like smoking on yellow. No. And be love ain't still do shit. She get made down, mask got hit. That's word of my mother, they never did shit. Like smoking on Yeahhhyuhhhh, butter, quaddle. Tell the bridge to pick up a stick. Like 3 days, death, I got put in a split. They know I'm preteen, niggas be on that shit. And I'm tryna pack me an old while. I still be searching for jiggies. Family first, so we see the fly cars. And Charlie don't live without Benji. It's like how many dead niggas do y'all got? Free the guys, the score like a walkie. Jaguar TK get put in a box. I told Reaper just let us some shot. No, gotta go empty a top. Like we got 1 million ops, so we need 1 million chops. So G's don't crash, we ain't signing for cops. And they keep on this on my block. Like who got touched, like who got shot. And I fell in love with my chop. And that's what I do, we fucking our thoughts.
So bro, he get shot, I be towing on Kelly. And I hope that I catch him with Kenny. Like smoking on country, that shit got me deadly. Brought the O, we throw dick on her belly. Niggas talk on the net, but they know we don't lie. Mr. Don't got the pro, he get scared. If he jacking OGs, he get shot in his back. AJ lucky that he not a pack. Nigga teed on my brody, go 50 for 50. D-Tech spot up there, make him get jig. Bought a flock of shots going past up the city. Bang out run, you gon' end up like Chris Benarain. We looking for Scotty. List the fuckers, they talk on Mulati. I keep a 30, can't wait to catch 9. And D-Tech on 30s, he look like a zombie. Fuck that look, no, he resting in piss. Smoking on smelly, got poked in his ribs. Benji died trying to spin with no tents. Nigga RB got hit up and what heck I did. Bally Rocky a bitch, and he ran on his bitch. SCG, I'm up in and blitz. But Brody had both of their wives in the crib. That's on bro, man, they both have him. In case sister got shot, he still wanna rap beat. If that was me, would've been in niggas dissing, but we putting niggas on black tees. He got hit cause he tryna act fly.
I'ma start it like where I left off that. Bitch, I'm back in the floor with my dogs. Like every outside catch, I'ma off that. Every outside, he get left like a floor mat. And what's up with these new niggas rapping? Grab a gun and go get you some action. We shoot movies, we ain't with the acting. Fuck green, baby, we do all the packing. Like, did my brother, I'm taking that risk. Like, that's just capping and catching no hits. Like, Josh got beat, he got beat out his kicks. Like, Millie Wild got beat with a stick. Like, OGs, but they never on 9. Catch black or recent in the dozen. He said, this is my block, but that boy said he bluffing. Up on CG, don't care if we cut. Like, we selling that shit like it's RPT bugging. Like, Benji got shines. Like, Diddy got shines. And like, you got shines. Mama said, capping and really get over me. When y'all block, we doing it comfortably. Y'all gon' cap, but y'all really look up to me. Dougie got shine, he's still in recovery. But y'all know what we usually do. Screaming wild, told we feed the boom. Like, Bendu, my brother, he know what to do. Stunning, he geeking, that boy be home soon. Every spot I was in, that's some bro I was living. Say he touching me, he gotta be shit. Niggas get hit and they wanna play victim. Pick them guns and them niggas start snitching.
What's that D that nigga make it get jiggy before we shoot him, you heard?
Hey, what's that band?
RP, whoa.
I shot T that nigga.
No, LLD for life. The RP rock.
RPB. Every op shot.
Elvis.
Like, suck my dick. Everybody shot. Gang. Stop cheat on nigga. Hey, watch the G to the sky, never put it over for my walk.
Smoking everybody.
Even my girl, I know that.
Everything dead.
Come on, CJ, you see me when I ain't see you. Nigga, you ain't even make a move. So how the fuck when you see me, you gon' shoot? I don't know, that him in the booth. He say he gon' jelly pop on my coat. Niggas suck my dick like ain't nobody gon' spend how I saw God. Hey, y'all was jacking out, wasn't y'all friend like smoking on yellow. No one, Diddy. And be love ain't still do shit. She get made down, mask got hit. That's word of my mother, they never did shit. Like smoking on Yeahhhyuhhh, butter, quaddle. Tell the bridge to pick up a stick. Like 3 days, death, I got put in a split. They know I'm preteen, niggas be on that shit. And I'm tryna pack me an old while. I still be searching for jiggies. Family first, so we see the fly cars. And Charlie don't live without Benji. It's like how many dead niggas do y'all got? Free the guys, the score like a walkie. Jaguar TK get put in a box. I told Reaper just let up some shot. No, gotta go empty a top. Like we got 1 million ops, so we need 1 million chops. So G's don't crash, we ain't signing for cops. And they keep on this on my block. Like who got touched, like who got shot. And I fell in love with my chop. And that's what I do, we fucking our thoughts.
So bro, he get shot, I be towing on Kelly. And I hope that I catch him with Kelly like smoking on country. That shit got me deadly. Brought the Oiko dick on her belly. Niggas talk on the net, but they know we don't lie. Mr. Don't got the pro, he get sky. If he jacking OGs, he get shot in his back. AJ lucky that he not a pad. Nigga teed on my brody go 50 for 50. D-Tech spot up there, make him get jig. Bought a flock of shots going past up the city. Bad not run, you gon' end up like Chris Benarain. We looking for Scotty. This the front cause they talk on Mulati. I keep a 30, can't wait to catch 9. And D-Tech on 30s, he look like a zombie. Fuck that look, no, he resting in piss. Smoking on smelly, got poked in his ribs. Benji died trying to spin with no tent. Nigga RB got hit up and what heck I did. Bally Rocky a bitch, and he ran on his bitch. SCG, I'm up and blitz. Remember Brody had both of their wives in the crib. That's on bro, man, they both had him. In case sister got shot, he still wanna rap beat. If that was me, would've been a Patek is dissing, but we putting niggas on black tees. He got hit cause he tryna act fly.
I'ma start it like where I left fourth that. Bitch, I'm back in the field with my dogs. Like every outside catch, I'm off that. Every outside he get left like a floor mat. And what's up with these new niggas rapping? Grab a gun and go get you some action. We shoot movies, we ain't with the acting. Fuck green, baby, we do all the packing. Like DJ my brother, I'm taking our wrist like that's just capping and catching no hits like Josh got beat, he got beat out his kicks like Millie Wild got beat with a stick like OGs, but they never on nine. Catch black or recent in the dozens, they just in my block, but that boy said he bluffing. Up on CG, don't care if we cut. Like we selling that shit like it's RPT bugging. Like Benji got shines, like Diddy got shines, and like Yumi got shines. Mama said Kevin didn't really get over me. When y'all block, we doing it comfortably. That gon' cap, but y'all really look up to me. Dougie got shine, he's still in recovery. But y'all know what we usually do. Screaming wild, told we feed the boom like they do. My brother, he know what to do. Stunning, he geeking, that boy be home soon. Every spot I was in, that's when bro I was living. Say he touching me, he gotta be shit. Niggas get hit and they wanna play victim. Pick them guns and them niggas start snitching.
What's that DJ nigga make it get jiggy before we shoot him, you heard?
Hey, yo, stop being the
RP, whoa.
I shot T that nigga.
No, LLD for life. The RP rock.
RPB. Every op shot.
Elvis.
Boom. Don't run.
I don't like
Suck my dick. Every fucking shot.
KKK.
Stop T that nigga.
Hey, watching the G, she to the sky, never put it over for my wife.
Smoking everybody.
Even my girl, I know that.
Ding, dang. My dick.
Come on, CJ, you see me when I ain't see you. Nigga, you ain't even make a move, so how the fuck when you see me, you gon' shoot? I don't know that him in the booth. He say he gon' jelly pop on my coat. Nigga suck my dick like ain't nobody gon' smell how I saw God. Hey, y'all was jacking out with your friend like smoking on yellow. No one did he. And be love ain't still do shit. Tiki man, dumb ass got hit. That's word of my mother, they never did shit. Like smoking on Yui, butter, quaddle. Tell the bridge to pick up a stick. Like 3 days, that I got put in a split. They know PT niggas be on that shit. And I'm trying to pack me an old while. I still be searching for jiggies. Family first, so we see the fly cars. And Charlie don't live without Benji. It's like how many dead niggas do y'all got? Free the guys that score like a walk. He jack on the cake and put in a box. I told Reba just let us some shot. No, gotta go empty a top. Like we got 1 million ops. So we need 1 million chops. G's don't crash, we ain't signing for cops. And they keep on this on my block. Like who got touched, like who got shot. And I fell in love with my chop. And I swear to my G, we fucking y'all thoughts.
So bro, he get shot if he towing on Kelly. And I hope that I catch him with Kelly like smoking on country. That shit got me deadly. Brought the Oiko dick on her belly. Niggas talk on the net, but they know we don't lie. Mr. Don't got the pro, he get sky. If he jacking OGs, he get shot in his back. AJ lucky that he not a pad. Nigga teed on my brody go 50 for 50. D-Tech spot up there, make him get jig. Bought a flock of shots going past up the city. Bad not run, you gon' end up like Chris Benarain. We looking for Scotty. This the front cause they talk on Mulati. I keep a 30, can't wait to catch 9. And D-Tech on 30s, he look like a zombie. Fuck that look, no, he resting in piss. Smoking on smelly, got poked in his ribs. Benji died trying to spin with no tent. Nigga RB got hit up and what heck I did. Bally Rocky a bitch, and he ran on his bitch. SCG, I'm up and blitz. Remember Brody had both of their wives in the crib. That's on bro, man, they both had him. In case sister got shot, he still wanna rap beat. If that was me, would've been a Patek is dissing, but we putting niggas on black tees. He got hit cause he tryna act fly.
I'ma start it like where I left fourth that. Bitch, I'm back in the field with my dogs. Like every outside catch, I'm off that. Every outside he get left like a floor mat. And what's up with these new niggas rapping? Grab a gun and go get you some action. We shoot movies, we ain't with the acting. Fuck green, baby, we do all the packing. Like DJ my brother, I'm taking our wrist like that's just capping and catching no hits like Josh got beat, he got beat out his kicks like Millie Wild got beat with a stick like OGs, but they never on 9. Catch black or recent in the dozens, they just in my block, but that boy said he bluffing. Up on CG, don't care if we cut. Like we selling that shit like it's RPT bugging. Like Benji got shines, like Diddy got shines, like Yuri got shines. Mama said Kevin didn't really get over me. When y'all block, we doing it comfortably. Y'all gon' cap, but y'all really look up to me. Dougie got shine, he's still in recovery. But y'all know what we usually do. Screaming wild till we feel the boom. Like Bendu, my brother, he know what to do. Stunning, he geeking, that boy be home soon. Every spot I was in, I saw bro I was living. Say he touching me, he gotta be shit. Niggas get hit and they wanna play victim. Pick them guns and them niggas start snitching.
What's that D that nigga make it get jiggy before we shoot him, you heard?
Hey, what's that band?
RP, whoa.
I shot T that nigga.
LLD for life. The RP rock.
RPB. Every op shot.
Yeahhhyuhhhh! Good morning out there on the tubes of you. Yeahhhyuhhh! You are now live, L-I-V-E, with your host, the most froze, the bad boy of indie comics, the hottest ticket in all of indie comics today, the one that got away. Yeahhhyuhhh! The unstoppable, unbreakable, undeniable creative juggernaut, the IP generating machine, CEO of Glacier Comics. It's your boy, Glacier. Yeahhhyuhhh! Good morning, folks. Good morning. Wake and Bacon. Today's morning stream is brought to you by V5 Boutique Marijuana Vapes with the live liquid rosin diamonds. V5 Boutique Vapes now triple strained up and come equipped with high and low voltage options. That's right. Take the most savory of hits, heat it up to perfection. Yeahhhyuhhh! V5 Boutique Marijuana Vapes with the live liquid rosin diamonds now equipped with the fan favorite Infinity Mode. Hit the blinker 5 times. You get all 3 strains simultaneously. Yeahhhyuhhh! Both my Twitter handle and PayPal banner. Whoops. I don't fuck that up. Both my Twitter handle and PayPal are in the banner scrolling across the screen below. Yeah. Everybody, tap all the way in. Yeah. All right, we're just gonna do a quick wake and bake session, nerd out on some things in the morning. And I think first we're gonna do the origins, the twisted origins of Space Ghost. Plenty of you have probably watched that cartoon growing up, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, but did you know he never had an origin story? And I guess in 2005, they finally gave him one. Thaddeus Bach. Thaddeus Bach becomes the Space Ghost, and we're gonna dive into it because apparently it's kind of a really disturbing origin story, and it's kind of a it's crazy that they gave such a twisted origin story to like a cartoon, like a comedic cartoon character. You would never expect it. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into that. Then we're gonna look at some deep cuts, like hidden gems of werewolf movies. I guarantee you there's a bunch, at least a handful of werewolf movies you never heard of. So we're gonna go through those gems, and then I'll probably wrap it up so I can get some work done for the rest of the day. Issue two of Sledheads, our debut IP out to the world. Issue 2 is immaculate, amazing, insanity. Like I don't know if I'll ever be able to reach a bar as high as issue 2 of Sledheads. I'd put that bar like up there. It's like if you were taking an elevator to space, the bar is all the way up there, So it's crazy. And I already got issue 1 done of Sledheads. 60 pages, all paid for by me, the Glacier. The artwork by Christian Rossi. So issue 1 is done. And in order to get our debut IP out to the world with the publisher, we're combining issues 1 and 2 in a hardcover. So we're getting started on issue 2 pretty soon, and that's all I can say about that. Just stay tuned. I never lose, bitch. Yeah. All right. So you can help us get started on production of issue 2 by sending all donos my way via paypal.me/glacier AAAA. paypal.me/glacier AAAA. I'm sick, and this is the morning voice. So if there's any charisma or energy lacking in my performance, you gotta warm up the truck first. You know what I'm saying? You gotta warm up the truck first. That's what we're doing. Waking, baking, getting smoky with Glacier, the hottest ticket in all of indie comics today. So please be seated. The show is about to begin. Hope you enjoy yourselves. Call-in link is pinned to the top of the chat. If there's any lurker jerkers, hate watchers, gremlins that want to come and get that ass whooped, call-in link is right here, pinned to the top of the chat. Yeah. So without further ado, let's learn about the origins of Space Ghost. Right, let me put this shit at like, what do you guys think? Let's try this one.
In 1966, the United States of America was gripped by two fevers that would become iconic milestones in the pop culture landscape: Adam West's Batman and The Space Race. A show that played into both of these popular obsessions was the show Space Ghost. A classic good versus evil show, Space Ghost was much more serious than the funny cartoon characters that the 60s audience was used to, but they loved the change in pace. Though aimed at kids, Space Ghost found many admirers in teenagers and adults too. Unfortunately, he would fall victim to parental watchdog groups who thought Space Ghost was much too violent. Cue lots of pearl clutching and Space Ghost getting cancelled. True to his name, Space Ghost never succumbed to an end. He returned in 1981 as part of Space Stars and fought brand new villains. His re-return in 1994, though, is what cemented Space Ghost as a classic icon. In this rebirth, Space Ghost...
Yeah, Space Ghost for the 90s. That was the best.
In 1994, though, is what cemented Space Ghost as a classic icon. In this rebirth, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Space Ghost returned as a talk show host, asking absurd and surreal questions to real-life people. This introduced Space Ghost to a lot of new admirers. I think it's safe to say that Space Ghost has lived many lives and continues to live on in the hearts of many. Adding on to this vivid universe, DC introduced a 6-comic miniseries of Space Ghost in 2005, in his darkest version yet.
Oh shit, DC, leave it to DC to do that. 6-issue miniseries. Maybe we'll read that on this channel in a future stream.
The story explores his tragic origins and explains the events that led to Space Ghost earning his name. I think I have teased the story enough now. Let's begin. A good man and keeper of peace. The comic series starts with a musing about the entropy of the universe. If the universe is so flawed, wouldn't it mean that as children of the universe, we are mere symptoms of entropy? Perhaps it is true, or perhaps we are all children of a higher order that is disguised behind the chaos of time, space, and matter. We then see Thaddeus Bach, a peacekeeper fighting intergalactic criminals.
I like that name, Thaddeus Bach. Look at him fighting these criminals. This is painterly. It's kind of like looks like an Alex Ross type of style.
He is hopelessly outnumbered but not overpowered yet, and he continues to stress the importance of the right to live in peace that belongs to all sentient beings. Those who infringed on this right would defy the commandment, the ruling body of the peacekeepers. Such agitators would be interviewed and detained by a peacekeeper, subjected to an objective mnemonic analysis, and sentenced to a suitable punishment. That is the way of the commandment. Simple, fair, and efficient. That is what Thaddeus is up to as he punches down the unruly crowd of offenders. He uses his electric staff to shock them into submission and arrest them. Back at home the next day, his pregnant wife Yeahhhyuhhhh makes fun of him for wearing his Eidolon elite officer uniform to make him smile. She is worried the job has been weighing on him.
Jeez, look at that hairline. That hairline part. Holy fuck. That's a choice, you know. Maybe that's the new hairstyle I'll get. Holy fuck. God bless me. Look at his pregnant wife. Does she look familiar? I don't know.
Or wearing his Eidolon elite officer uniform to make him smile. She is worried the job has been weighing on him as he has become way too serious. As Thaddeus pulls the uniform off of her, he tells her that nobody, not even the bad people he arrests, drives him as crazy as her. Eloa cradles her belly with fond affection and tells her unborn baby that its father is a man of action, which is why they made him a special officer. Thaddeus reminds her that he has not been promoted yet, but Eloa is sure he will be, as it is his time. Thaddeus reminds her that if he is promoted, everything would change and he would have to work for longer hours in bigger operations. Eloa sees that as more medals, better pay, a bigger house, and many children. Thaddeus wants to get through bringing up one child first. Eloa asks him not to worry as she knows Thaddeus will give her and their son a good life. Though Eloa doesn't know the sex of their baby yet, she wants a son as she wants to see her boy grow up to be a good man like his father. Next day at the commandment, the Supreme Judge asks all the officers to remember the day they all first stepped into the building. Though they might have been scared or intimidated, the commandment had accepted them as their children, and today they were the Eidolon elite, the peacekeepers who have upheld the commandment with valor. Standing amidst the officers, Thaddeus reflects back on his training where he was put through hell by his quartermaster, Temple. The drills are not easy, as they are meant to forge the peacekeepers.
Ooh, I like this. I have a similar story to this. Where they,
Upheld the commandment with valor.
The leader puts his crew through rigorous training. Look at this guy, he's got a bolt in his head.
Standing amidst the officers, Thaddeus reflects back on his training where he was put through hell by
So that's him right there. Why has he got a
his
bolt?
quartermaster, Temple. The drills are not easy, as they are meant to forge the peacekeepers, the faces of justice, who dive through darkness to find evil and destroy it while it sleeps. During a mock drill, Temple catches Thaddeus off guard and later invites him to his office. Thaddeus admits to knowing the mistakes he made and apologizes for them, but Temple has some good news for him. Temple informs him that his main shortcoming is that he cares more about the people behind him than he does the threats in front of him. Having too much heart is bad for the business, but Temple believes in Thaddeus' potential. He decides to give him a position in the Wrath. Thaddeus takes the good news to Eloa, informing her that Wrath is the embodiment of the Eidolon, composed of the...
Bro, look how awful these haircuts are. And not only does he have that part in the front, but now he has this weird-ass part in the back. Some fugly space hairdos.
Thaddeus takes the good news to Eloa, informing her that Wrath is the embodiment of the Eidolon, composed of the best that are handpicked by Temple. The Wrath handles the biggest cases and assignments that are usually considered impossible. Eloa is proud of him, but Temple is worried as no one other than Temple had lasted for more than 5 cycles in the Wrath. Eloa asks if everyone dies, but Thaddeus tells her that most retire, but some, he hesitates, unable to complete the sentence. Eloa is sure that her husband will not die, though, as he never does anything that would make her cry. The next day, he is welcomed by the members of the Wrath, Temple, Smith...
Holy fuck, look at these. Foreign alien. Like a cyborg. Of course, he has lizard representation. Okay, so he's Space Ghost has been recruited to Wrath. They handle the worst of the worst.
Cutter and Hammer. They tease him as he is new meat, but Eloa is sure that her husband will not die, though, as he never does anything that would make her cry. The next day, he is welcomed by the members of the Wrath, Temple, Smith, Cutter, and Hammer.
Temple, Smith, Cutter, and Hammer.
They tease him as he is new meat, but Temple assures him that it is a brotherhood as they all have each other's backs. The Wrath is composed of a threatening group. Smith, the small lizard-like creature, is a psi officer who has incredible psychic powers. Cutter has 4 arms and is a deadly assassin, while Hammer is a half-cyborg, skeleton-like creature. As part of Bach's first mission, they meet Amar Klimst, a weapons trader. Temple greets him like a friend and asks him about his wife and kids. They move on to business, and Amar shows him the brand new weapons that he claims can kill the bugs. Bach is confused, and Cutter fills him in with whispers that the bugs are a rumored race of marauders that were made up to frighten the galaxy into buying more weapons. Amar can hear their whispers, though, as he has 6 ears, and tells them that once the bugs come, they will not find these jokes funny. Temple picks up a gravity mace to examine it, and Amar tells him that it forces the mass of whatever it is pointed at to a single point. Temple points the gun at Amar, and before he could say it's not funny, Temple shoots it, causing Amar's head to shrink. With just one word, the Wrath attacks Amar's gigantic bodyguards and takes them down. In the post-mortem, they report that Amar Klimst was in violation of commandment rules, and when the Wrath tried to arrest him, he ordered his snipers to attack. The Wrath was forced to take lethal action in self-defense, and they had to kill Amar and his associates. The report also says that most of Amar's shipment was destroyed in the scuffle. As they clean up, Temple tells Bach that the alien blood washes off. Bach is in no mood to hear him, as he knows that they killed them all in cold blood without ever offering them a fair trial. Temple tells him that
Damn.
guys like Amar never get the justice they deserve, as they pay their way out with corrupt judges in the system. That is why the Wrath is in place. When they punish the wicked, they never come back.
Black Ops shit. Better get used to it, Thaddeus.
Bach points out that none of Amar's money had been destroyed, but Temple has another explanation for it. The money that they had got from Amar is simply a compensation for the troublesome work they do. He tells Bach that he only needs 5 cycles from him and he can retire after that. That night, Bach can't sleep, and he decides to leave his home with his wife and be a part of Temple's ruthless and immoral missions. He wakes Alua up to tell her that something is wrong. What he doesn't know is that in his bedroom, Temple and Hammer are keeping an eye on him.
Damn. They're watching him in the bedroom.
Using invisibility devices. As soon as his words leave his mouth, Temple knocks him out. When he wakes up, he is tied and at the dangerous end of Smith's gun. Temple goes on and on about how he disappointed him with his damn heart and broke his streak about selecting the right people for Wrath. Bach asks him about his wife and they decide to show him, as there is nothing much he can do anyway. Hammer enters, showing off his cybernetic arm that opens like a Swiss Army knife, and tells him that his baby was a boy. He asks him if he wants...
That's a nice piece right there. Damn, that's a nice piece. Look at that. That's fucking nightmare fuel.
cybernetic arm that opens like a Swiss Army knife, and tells him that his baby was a boy. He asks him if he wants to watch.
Oh no. His baby was a boy. Oh, this is getting bad. Some torture.
Arm that opens like a Swiss Army knife, and tells him that his baby was a boy. He asks him if he wants to watch as he recorded what he did to his wife. The anger and grief of losing his wife strengthens Bach, and he pulls off the chains holding him. Temple asks Hammer to record this as well, as he is about to make Thaddeus the poster child for what happens to anyone who betrays the Wrath. He tells Bach that he would not have died if he did not have a heart, and shoots him. The funeral of a hero. The members of the Wrath beat him up, dress him up in his uniform, and Temple makes sure that Bach knows of how much they tortured his wife. When Cutter asks them why they dressed him in his uniform, Temple replies that he appreciates the irony of it and points out that blood looks more pronounced in the white peacekeeper uniform. Assuming he is dead, they leave him on a ghost planet. Back at home, Temple puts on the face of a mourner, grieving one of his friends. The cover story he feeds the commandment is that someone broke Bach's cover, followed him home, and murdered his wife. Eloah is given an Eidolon funeral, and it is reported that they never found Bach's body. On the alien planet, Bach is still very much alive. The ghost of his wife Eloah wakes him up, but Thaddeus does not have any desire to do so, as there is nothing left for him to stay alive for. A blue alien reptile decides that that is the perfect moment for it to attack and lunges at him. A tall purple man kicks it away and brings Bach to his home. He looks after Bach till he is healed, and 3 weeks later, Bach wakes up. The purple man asks him his name, and when he refuses to speak, decides to call him It. He tells Bach that he is on a planet of the dead where no one ever comes and certainly no one ever stays. Bach thinks he can fit in well, as he has died too. The purple man introduces himself as Salamon. That night, Bach holds a dagger to his chest and tells Eloah that he's coming to her. A rhythmic sound distracts him, and he follows the sound to find Salamon digging at a rock. Bach asks him why he is doing that, and Salamon replies with another question. Why did he put down the dagger? Without another word, Bach picks up the pickaxe and begins digging at the rock. After a week of working together, Bach shared his name, and after a month, Salamon saw him as his friend. They did not talk much, and Bach's past was never up for discussion, but Salamon found out about his past anyway through Bach's desperate prayers that he was never meant to hear. Through his disciplined routine, Bach became stronger each day. More glorious, more terrible, and more alive. One day, as Bach kneeled by the makeshift memorials of his wife and son, apologizing for not being able to avenge them, Salamon arrives. He apologizes for interrupting him and tells him that he has something to show him. Salamon first makes him promise to hear out everything he has to say, and that he is compelled to tell him this before he gets too old to remember the truth. Salamon tells him that for 300 years, a plague of war had ravaged their planet. Having been born into war, Salamon was desperate to find a way to end it. He was good at it too, and earned the moniker Blood Mechanic. He was the greatest engineer monk of the last 3 centuries. He created tools, weapons, and bombs. Within a week, 5 of his bombs had left his world a ghost planet. Only he had survived, as he had hid in a bunker like a coward. Seeing all the weapons, Bach asks if they work. Salamon tells him that he can use the ship to go home and find a new life, but Bach is insistent about knowing whether the weapons work. With tears in his eyes, Salamon tells him that the way of revenge will only bring more suffering, and he is a good man who knows vengeance is not justice. With the voices of Temple and Eloa echoing in his mind, he wears the superpowered wristbands, shoes, and belt. He tests the wristband by aiming it at a giant boulder, and it bursts into pebbles. The Wrath, meanwhile, is taking a leisurely stroll in the Meridian, wondering where all the people went. Smith theorizes that they must have all inbred themselves into cannibals, but through his sigh, he hears screams and a warning that the bugs are coming. Cutter dismisses him as bugs are not real, but Temple gets concerned looking at the fear of the people there who are running to hide and seek cover. Temple orders them to burn it all completely and leave nothing on the Meridian. As Bach wears a black hood over his head, Salamon tries to stop him. He asks him what he will do once he kills his wife's murderers and asks him how many he has to destroy to be at peace. He reminds Bach that he is a peacekeeper, but Bach retorts that Salamon exterminated a whole planet to stop a war and has no right to stop him. Salamon angrily screams that he should have left him to die. As Bach leaves, he tells him that he is already dead. Back at the commandment, Temple chastises Smith for being so...
Oh, I like that. I like that image a lot. I'm already dead. It's very Batman-esque.
Stop a war and has no right to stop him. Salamon angrily screams that he should have left him to die. As Bach leaves, he...
Oh, yeah. I've made peace with the dark side. Look, he throws on the black hood. Yeah.
Tells him that he is already dead. Back at the commandment, Temple chastises Smith for being so squeamish after seeing just a bit of blood and asks him to forget whatever he saw. Hammer is in for a nasty shock as he returns home, desperate to rest after 3 weeks in the field. He finds his house ablaze and Bach's voice tells him to let it burn if he wants to stay alive. Bach then shoots his arm away and asks him to call the commandment as they might save him before the drugs and explosives he has stockpiled in his home go off. Bach gives him a chance to live. He would let it burn if he wants to stay alive. Bach weeks in the field. He finds his hammer is for being so squeamish after seeing...
So he goes after the Swiss Army guy first. The one that cut open his
just a bit of blood and asks him to forget whatever he saw. Hammer is in for a nasty shock as he returns home, desperate to rest after 3 weeks in the field. He finds his house ablaze and Bach's voice tells him to let it burn if he wants to stay alive. Bach then shoots his arm away and asks him to call the commandment as they might save him before the drugs and explosives he has stockpiled in his home go off. Bach gives him a chance to live. He would leave what was left of his skin if he gave him the answers he wanted. Hammer calls Temple on his transmitter as he runs towards his home. That is when the explosives go off and the fire consumes Hammer. The beginning of vengeance. As Temple talks to Hammer, Smith feels the same darkness he had felt in...
Ooh, very Batman-esque. It's from DC. What do you expect, right?
Meridian. Hammer is cut off abruptly, leaving Temple wondering what happened. Smith tells him that an ex-peacekeeper is after them. Temple immediately guesses who it might be and tells Cutter that the Wrath has been compromised. She tells him she will meet him in 5 minutes, and right behind her, Bach follows in the invisible ship. He turns off the invisibility and rams into her flying motorcycle. She manages to land on her feet on the ship, and Bach greets her by telling her that it is time for reprisals. She recognizes Bach and attacks him with a snarl, but Bach tells her that Wrath killed Bach. Cutter begins to taunt him, asking whether he wants her to cry just like his wife did. He shoots her with the wristband, and as she is falling off the ship, catches her. He asks her to give him Temple, promising to dismantle Wrath. Cutter doesn't want to be treacherous, though, and kicks him to free herself. As she falls to certain death, she tells him that Wrath never dies, and Bach is now finally one of them. Temple and Smith escape to Meridian as Temple is ready to level a city if that means he can kill Bach, and he doesn't want the commandment to find that out. Smith is surprised he thinks it can come to it and tells him that they are being followed. In Meridian, the two park their ship and set it on fire. Temple watches from a distance while Smith uses his psi abilities from inside a fort. Smith tells Temple as Bach creeps up behind him, and as soon as Bach punches him, Temple uses his warp pack to teleport himself. The realization barely sets in for Bach that he fell for bait when suddenly a massive explosion goes off right under him. Back at the fort, Temple asks Smith if Bach's dead. Smith erratically repeats that they all die, and Bach, whose clothes are torn but body's intact, answers the question for him by grabbing him. Temple dares him to finish it when suddenly the locals rush out, pointing at the sky. Fire rains down from the sky as Smith tells them what they had been fearing: bugs. A giant praying mantis-like alien commands its forces to attack. The bugs are real. Lord Zor...
Parents, stop and listen. Did you know parents are discovering their children were exposed to sexual content?
Oh, that's so badass. They got Zorak. Remember Zorak?
Lord Zorak, the leader of the bugs who are known as the Zorathians, eggs on his forces to kill everyone, but they face a resistance they had not expected in the form of Bach. Bach, blinded by his rage against Temple, destroys the bugs ruthlessly. Temple heads to a solo ship, shooting humans and bugs alike that dare to delay him. Lord Zorak demands Bach's heart, while Bach, completely unbothered by the bug invasion, continues to chase Temple. Temple, impressed at his tenacity, offers him his job back. A bug ship shoots at both of them, destroying Temple's solo ship. The bugs enslave the remaining humans on Meridian, and Lord Zorak asks his soldiers to find the two. Bach lands in a dense forest, regretting that he came so close to getting his revenge but failed to. The screams of children distract him, and he sees a pair of twins being cornered by two bugs, who decide to find out if they can scream in different ways before they eat them. In one fell swoop, Bach kills both the bugs. His invisibility belt and power band's battery dies, and they start charging by siphoning geomagnetic energy. Bach decides to fly away so that his weapons can recharge, but the kids look up to him with tears and tell him they are alone. He takes them to a cave so they can all rest. The kids, Jace and Jan, tell him that they are from Lun and that they were at their aunt's house to work. Jan, the girl and the smarter of the two, asks him whether he is there to help them and whether he is a peacekeeper. Bach answers no to both. Seeing them cling to each other, Bach gives them his shelter cloak. Jace whines that he is still cold, which Bach doesn't believe, as the shelter cloak would make people sweat even on the moon. Jan asks Bach to build a fire, as Jace is not cold but just scared of the dark. Bach refuses to, as being in the dark is what is keeping them alive. Jace freaks out and asks Jan if they are going to die. Jan consoles him and yells at Bach for not considering that Jace is still a kid. Jace takes offense to that and reminds her that he is 2 minutes older than her. Jan asks him to act like it, and their squabble irritates Bach so much that he threatens to feed them to the bugs if they don't shut up immediately. Jan asks him if he has any kids of his own, and when he says no, she says good. Curl can deliver a lethal blow with just one word. I'll give her that. The next day, Jan and Jace follow Bach with logs. Jan complains that it isn't the way to Lun, and Bach points out that he told them to wait in the cave. When they keep asking him to take them home, Bach yells at them that they have no home left. Suddenly, bugs erupt out of the ground and pull Jace and Jan underground with them. Jan screams for help from Space Ghost. Bach shoots at one of the bugs and dives down to get back the twins. He retrieves both of them and reassures himself that he has them both. That night, Bach uses his wristband to heat a stone so hot that it glows and asks Jace if it helps. Jace thanks him and almost addresses him as Space Ghost again. Bach is interested in knowing more about Space Ghost and asks who he is. They tell him that their father made up a story of Space Ghost, the ghost that would take bad children to space and tie them to the moon till they learned how to behave. Jace adds that the ghost is very mean and has no face. Bach tells him that he has a face, but Jan doesn't believe him. Bach tries to change the subject and tells them that he will take them to Lund the next day, but Jan is not distracted so easily. She pleads with him to show his face, and Bach relents. That night, the two kids sleep while holding Bach, and Bach is reminded of his wife and son again. On the Ark ship of the bugs, Lord Zorak tells the captured Temple that he wasn't killed because he impressed him. Temple shows them the device attached to his heart and tells them that if his heart stops beating, it would trigger the explosive that would kill everyone on the ship. Lord Zorak is not worried about the explosive, though, as the Zorathians share a hive mind, and if he died, someone else would replace him immediately as Zorak. Zorak wants to know if there are more weapons like the ones he and Bach use, as that would hinder their invasions. Temple agrees to help him if they can enter a quid pro quo agreement. In truth, Zorak only wants Bach as he sees him to be superior. The only reason he has kept Temple alive is to use him as bait to get Bach. Difficult decisions and the right choice. Bach brings Jan and Jace home, and Jace rushes into the house screaming for his mom and dad. Jan wonders how long boys will stay stupid, and looking at Bach decides a very long time. She hugs Bach and thanks him before running into the house. The locals who had survived ask him if he is here to save them and whether Temple sent him. With gritted teeth, he says Temple did not send him and asks them why they think so. The locals take him to a screen where Temple has been streaming his message from the central tower. The message repeats over and over again, with Temple asking everyone to surrender if they want to live. The locals have a lot of questions for him. Is he from the commandment? Does he have weapons? Is he going to help them? But Bach doesn't bother to answer any of them, as his business is only with Temple.
You know, it'd be a cool crossover, Space Ghost and the Tick.
Suddenly, he sees Jan and Jace hugging each other with tears in their faces, telling him they couldn't recognize their parents in the heaps of corpses. Jace tries to hug him as the message replays, with Temple telling everyone that he is speaking to them as a sign of goodwill. Hearing Temple's voice causes Bach to harden his heart, so he turns on the Inviso belt and flies away while Jan consoles her crying brother. Bach attacks the Ark ship of the bugs, and Temple tells the soldier holding him captive that he needs to be the one to kill Bach at the end. Bach fights his way in, but Zorak stops him, stepping on him like he is a wayward ant. He jumps back up and begins fighting him. Zorak, having known what Temple did to Bach, taunts him with his wife's death and tells him that he is just a man and not a ghost. Zorak shoves his staff into his ribs, wounding him. Zorak offers a deal if he...
Oh, shit. Speared him in the ribs.
Gave his weapons to Zorak and left, he would hand over Temple to him. Bach punches back at him and tells him to go to hell. Zorak invites him to the ship tomorrow at first light, but the man is on a mission and uses his power band to set off a massive explosion. As Zorak dies, Temple asks the others whether it hurts when one of them dies. The bug answers yes, but that is the way of life. They talk amongst themselves to keep Temple alive till daybreak, send him away in the morning, and kill him when he is closer to Bach. Thanks to his heart bomb, they would be killing both Bach and Temple in one attempt. In a quiet corner of the ship, Bach uses his wristbands to cauterize his wound. He begins to see Alua again, telling him that her husband is dead and so is the world. Jan and Jace come out from behind her cloak. The pain makes him lose consciousness, and in his dizzy state, he asks Alua what he should do. The next morning, Jace asks Jan if the space ghost was real, and Jace tells him that he was just a ghost. Bugs appear out of nowhere and grab them. They struggle to get out while Jan screams at the adults who are watching nearby for not helping them. The adults tell her to be still if she wants to live. Space Ghost returns and begins zapping out the bugs with his wristband. He tells one of the soldiers that he has a new deal for Zorak: leave the planet or suffer. Jan and Jace jump in joy that Space Ghost returned. He turns to the people of Lun and tells them to protect the two kids as he will be back for them soon. Meanwhile, the new Zorak discovers that he should not have dismissed Temple so easily. Temple had cut off his chained arm, replaced it with the claw of a guard, and escaped after killing the soldiers who were keeping an eye on him. Zorak admires the savagery of Temple when suddenly a loud boom sends tremors across the ship. Bach had asked the people of Lun to fight for their freedom while he faced the bug army head on. As the bugs buzz around to kill him, Temple, who had not left the Ark ship yet, feels proud that his student is strong enough to threaten such a foe. But that doesn't mean that he is going to spare him. Temple breaks into the power core of the ship. On Meridian, a part of the Ark ship crashes down, and Jace and Jan escape being crushed by it by a tiny margin. Zorak attacks him and asks him why he is so obsessed with the meat below. He tells him that vengeance is stronger than honor. The bugs all form a sphere around him, crowding and suffocating him, but with the power of the wristband, he propels them away. He punches Zorak and catches him in a neck hold. He tells him to leave Meridian if he wants to live, and Zorak threatens to unleash legendary pain on him the next time they meet. Bach is just done with one of the villains when Temple rides into Zorak's body in a solo ship, splitting him into two. This causes Bach to lose his balance and he topples backwards, but he uses his wristband to send a tether beam from his ghost ship to Temple's. The beam sends a shock through Temple's body, but even then, he refuses to give up. On the Ark ship, Zorak notices that the engine core has been messed with. As if on cue, the engine bursts out. As the massive Ark ship begins to descend, Temple reminds Bach of the stakes. As soon as the ship hit the ground, most of the living beings would be squashed, while the others would be incinerated from the explosion that would follow. This would take Temple and Bach out too, and Temple asks whether that is what Bach wants, to get rid of him irrespective of the lives lost along the way. Bach knows that is not justice and quickly makes a plan. He tethers the Ark ship to the beam as well and starts pushing the Ark ship to outer space. When the ship refuses to move, he shoots down a beam of energy towards the land to use as thrust. As soon as the Ark ship leaves the atmosphere of the Meridian, it explodes. People of Lund remember that day for a long time, and they speak about their enslavement, the invasion of the Zorathians, but in whispers, they also speak about the fallen peacekeeper who came to their land with only vengeance in his heart and ended up saving them all. The commandment leaders discuss the tragedy in Meridian and assign a full detail of peacekeepers in the outer rims of the galaxy in case the Zorathians ever return. They decide to let their indiscretions die with Temple, as they were not complicit with his action. Suddenly, the door of the meeting room opens and Bach throws Temple, who has been bound and gagged, into the room. He declares that justice must reign and tells them to set things right, threatening to burn the entire building otherwise. When asked who he is, Bach replies with a smile that he is Space Ghost. Bach returns to the planet of the dead with the twins and Hope. On the planet of the dead, Solomon says out loud that he must have finally lost his mind as he sees Thaddeus. Jace is surprised to learn that his new friend's name is Thaddeus and asks him if he can still call him Space Ghost. Bach tells Solomon that his tools had helped save lives. Solomon doesn't believe it and promises to die before he lets Bach betray him again. Bach assures him that that man is gone and so is his pain. He tells Solomon that they have work to do and they must find a place. He sees Eloah's ghost once again, cradling her child. She points to Thaddeus and asks the baby to be proud of his father as he is a good man. He tells Eloah that he will never disappoint her again. Solomon asks him what work he is talking about and Bach tells him that he has a new big rock for him to chisel at. That was the sad story of how Thaddeus Bach became Space Ghost. I loved the plot, but the writing left so much to be desired. I felt that the writer used the most difficult words and ways to express something when they could have just used simpler ones. I was not a fan of the art style either, as Thaddeus' face kept changing from panel to panel, and consistency is what makes me enjoy a comic book. Despite those hiccups, the gripping tone of the plot carried the comic book. It's just my opinion though. What did you think of the Space Ghost comic book series?
Thought it was okay. I guess the most twisted part was that guy's name in Wrath? Hammer. The guy with the Swiss Army knife hands. Killing his wife, and then his pregnant wife, and then coming to tell Space Ghost that he had a boy. That's fucking gnarly. It means he killed the wife and then gutted her with a Swiss Army cyborg arm. found out that he was having a boy. But taking a quick intermission, and I'll be back momentarily. So I'll leave you with a bumper song. That should be good.
All right. You are now back live, Live, with your host, the most froze, Glacier. Yeah. Welcome to the show. Let's get this out of the way. Yeah. Let's get this nerding out of the way. Welcome to the show, folks, here at the Glacier Mountain Comics YouTube studios, where it's not too late to donate via paypal.me/glacier8888. Get this out of the way because I do want to play some UFC 4 before I begin. I gotta fucking, FaceTime the editor and do a final pass. Should be the third and final pass. I hope he doesn't go, you need a page here and a page here. Because I got it all perfect fucking to up to 40 pages. So that way, issues 1 and 2 combined will be 100 pages in a hardback. So it'll feel kind of proper for hardback. But yeah, I got that coming up with the editor. So I do want to play some UFC 4 before I call him anyways. I wasn't really planning to call him until like 2:30. So we got time to nerd out in the morning with the Glacier, yeah. Right, so lore lockdown and 20 must-watch deep-cut werewolf movies you've never seen. All right, so let's see if I've seen any of these. How long is the video? Holy shit, 47 minutes. Yeah, we gotta watch this at like 1.5 at least. Right. Leave a like and leave a comment. Don't forget, help us battle the algorithm. And if you're new to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go Live live. Make sure you're subbed too. YouTube likes to unsub people. Go check it. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. Thank you. Hell, welcome to the Ice Age. Yeah.
We all have our guilty pleasure, don't we? For me, it has always been werewolf flicks, especially the underrated ones that slip under the radar. I know it has become a staple within the horror genre over the years, but once you move past the popular hits, you will uncover a treasure of deep-cut hidden gems that are solid entertainers. Some of these movies about the hulking, hairy creatures out for blood do not have the best special effects, and many dabble in the outright campy and cheesy territory, but nothing relieves my stress better than such a movie with a couple of cold ones. In this video, I will bring you some of these unsung heroes of the genre, werewolf movies that even the die-hard horror fans know little about, and this might be a good time to take a note for your next movie night or Halloween special. Full Eclipse, 1993. If you were awake in the 90s and actually paying attention to HBO's horror catalog, you might have caught Full Eclipse when it premiered on November 27th, 1993. But honestly, the odds are slim. This is the kind of film that exists in the strange bandwidth between theatrical ambition and cable television restraint, where filmmakers were experimenting with genuinely wild concepts, but working within the limitations made for TV budget. Director Anthony Hickox, the same madman who'd made the glorious cheesy Waxwork 5 years earlier, returned to the werewolf subgenre with something far sleeker and almost criminally stylish for what most critics dismissed outright as trashy. Max Dyer, played by Mario Van Peebles, is a burned-out LAPD detective drowning in marriage problems and the existential weight of street-level justice that never quite arrives. His partner eats a bullet early and Dyer's life is spiraling until Adam Guru enters his world. Guru runs a support group for troubled cops. It's exclusive, elite, and weirdly effective at changing lives. The only problem is that the tool they're using is a chemical serum that turns them into werewolves. I think what makes A Full Eclipse such a bold rejection of werewolf convention is that it refuses to mythologize the transformation. There's no full moon or a curse and a mystical backstory, just a cold, calculated chemical process that turns cops into monsters with agency. Guru recruits men like Dyer into a vigilante unit that operates outside the law, using their enhanced strength and predatory instincts to wage war on street crime with a brutality that straddles the line between justice and pure predation. The action sequences...
Wow, it sounds a lot like that Soto guy's book. Fucking Navy SEAL team of werewolves.
To wage war on street crime with a brutality that straddles the line between justice and pure predation. The action sequences feel like a Hong Kong action film where half the participants can transform into apex predators. The film's central tragedy is that the creature mode works better than the human mode ever did. Crime does drop when werewolves hunt criminals. Yes, the effects are crude at best, but I don't find it to paw away at the fun stuff. What keeps Full Eclipse perpetually rediscovered and perpetually forgotten is that it's caught between genres. The film's legacy exists entirely in cult circles, fan forums, and Reddit deep dives. If you're hungry for a werewolf film that treats transformation as sociological rather than supernatural, that shoots action like John Woo invented it, and that offers moral complexity wrapped in rubber and prosthetics, Full Eclipse is the hidden gem that you must check out.
That's the part I like, because that's the part I'm using. What if John Woo shot a werewolf movie? That's it. The rest of that shit, miss me with it.
Waxwork, 1988. Maybe the vintage 80s horror movie fans will agree with me.
Waxwork. I gotta see this. This looks right up my alley.
When I say that there's a specific flavor of 80s horror that only existed when filmmakers believed they could make rubber look more real than reality itself. Anthony Hitchcock's Waxwork is the thesis statement of that era. Released in 1988, shot on a $3 million budget with a skeleton crew over 6 to 7 weeks, it's the kind of film that should have been a disaster.
$3 million budget, 67 weeks. Holy shit! That's a long shooting. And all the catering that adds up to. Fuck.
But instead became a cult aberration so perfectly weird that it's still baffling audiences nearly 4 decades later. The premise is genuinely clever. Mark Loftmore is a rich college kid with nothing to do one evening, so he and his friends decide to visit the new waxwork in town, run by the mysterious Lincoln. Once inside, the displays begin to activate. A kid steps over a velvet rope into a werewolf diorama, and suddenly he's in a cabin in the woods, hunted by a practical werewolf, and suddenly survival becomes difficult. Death in the display means you become frozen, wax-like, part of the exhibition forever. What makes the werewolf sequence in
Oh, so if you die in the display, you die for real, and you become a part of the wax museum. It's kind of cheesy.
Waxwork so vital to the film's success is that it establishes the stakes immediately and gruesomely. The kid finds himself in a full-blown horror scenario. The werewolf itself, the practical suit, is deliberately unglamorous. A hunter gets his torso literally torn in half. Another scene shows the werewolf, this gorgeous practical prosthetic creation by effects maestro Robert Kurtzman, brushing off a wooden chair as though it's made of paper. The transformation itself from John Rhys Davies' human form is kept deliberately short, mostly happening off-screen or partially obscured, which makes it more effective. I surely find it more effective than poor low-budget visuals. The story gets more complicated as it is revealed that Lincoln is an immortal servant of darkness, attempting to resurrect the 18 most evil men in history through an occult ritual requiring the sacrifice of innocent souls. To bring them back permanently, Lincoln needs to feed them willing sacrifices, college kids who wander into displays and die. The practical gore effects, supervised by Robert Kurtzman, who'd later become a legend for his work on Candyman, Hellraiser, From Dusk Till Dawn, are astonishing. Characters get disemboweled, decapitated, impaled, torn apart, and all in practical rubber and theatrical blood that somehow reads as more unsettling than modern CGI gore. I love how the film is hilarious in spots, horrifying in others, and absolutely sincere about its supernatural rules. Waxwork has no artistic pretense. It was made by a director who wrote the script in 3 days and wanted to show off everything he could do with practical effects and a game cast. As for acting, Zach Galligan does his earnest best with material that's beneath him. David Warner embraces the villainy with relish, supporting players commit to absurdist scenarios with genuine conviction. The film's cult status is justified because it's one of those movies that improves on repeated viewings, because the detail work, the background action, the practical creativity in every frame reveals itself slowly. Grab friends, grab snacks, and let Waxwork remind you what horror cinema looked like when it was tactile.
All right, so Waxworks looks like it's getting a thumbs up for me. I'm going to check that one out for sure.
Late Phases, 2014. Nick D'Amici walks through his
2014. That's pretty recent. Late Phases.
New retirement community with the measured gait of a man who's earned the right to move slowly. And within the first 10 minutes of Adrian Garcia Bagliano's Late Phases, his dog is torn apart by a werewolf. This is a film about an aging blind Vietnam veteran who decides that his final act on Earth will be to hunt and kill werewolves. It's pitched somewhere between Gran Torino and a practical creature feature. D'Amici plays Ambrose McKinley, a cantankerous blind...
Bro, that sounds like fucking, sounds like Yucky Gum's life story. A vet that decides that the rest of his days of retirement are gonna be spent hunting a werewolf. If that ain't Yucky Gum, I don't know what is.
And within the first 10 minutes of Adrian Garcia Bagliano's Late Phases, his dog is torn apart by a werewolf. This is a film about an aging blind Vietnam veteran who decides that his final act on Earth will be to hunt and kill werewolves. It's pitched somewhere between Gran Torino and a practical creature feature. D'Amici plays Ambrose McKinley, a...
The Gran Torino werewolf films. That's hilarious. Shouts out to Gran Torino. I love that movie.
Cantankerous blind war vet who's moved into Crescent Bay, a retirement community in upstate New York nestled against thick forest. He's there because his son brought him, and Ambrose has learned to exist in the space between survival and peace. When Shadow, his service dog who has somehow become his only friend, is killed, something shifts in his old man's face. If you know the whole John Wick saga, you know this is a declaration of war. I think what makes Late Phases so viscerally compelling is D'Amici's commitment to playing Ambrose seriously. He's modeled the character on Clint Eastwood's Gran Torino, but with a specific influence. D'Amici mirrors Argo's facial structure and delivery, a tightness in the mouth and an unwillingness to perform emotion. When Ambrose determines that the animal animal attacks are actually werewolves, he begins systematically hunting. He builds a cross, obtains silver bullets, and he approaches the werewolf problem with the same strategic mind that made him a soldier. The blindness which Demichi achieved by using frosted contact lenses and never moving his eyes during filming is a great technical feat on a set full of practical action. Ambrose sees through other senses, through instinct and through a warrior's knowledge. Literal blindness is nothing compared to the moral blindness of the retirement community that wants to brush werewolf attacks aside as animal incidents. I cannot get over Robert Kurtzman's creature design, and while it is deliberately unconventional, it is executed entirely in practical prosthetics and rubber suits. The transformations are visceral, with skin splitting, bones cracking and reforming, and a body literally reshaping itself into something else. So CGI gloss, and it's all prosthetics, makeup, and actor contortion. When Ambrose comes face to face with the werewolf in his kitchen, there's a tactile reality to the creature that makes the encounter feel dangerous rather than fantastical. I find the film's tonal negotiations deliberately rough. Bagliano moves between genuine character moments, dark comedy, and visceral creature violence. Some viewers find these tonal shifts jarring, while others recognize them as the film's greatest strength. Late Phases is a difficult film to pitch because it resists easy categorization. It's a drama about irrelevance and purpose wrapped in horror cinema. It premiered at South by Southwest 2014 and built a reputation slowly through word of mouth and critic advocacy, becoming a favorite of horror enthusiasts who appreciate such unique films. I would go so far ahead as to say that if you've never seen Late Phases, you're missing a masterwork of modern werewolf cinema that treats aging, disability, and redemption as equally important as creature design.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne.
Howl 2015. I caught Howl the first time around when it was still making the rounds as a word-of-mouth discovery, the kind of British genre flick you hear about from one
Oh, I think I've seen this one.
horror-obsessed friend. What makes the movie special for me is how it treats modern life itself as the trap, and then the last train out of London stops dead near a forest, and the night decides to collect its due. Paul Hyatt came up through effects and makeup work, and Howl was his feature debut as director. You can feel that hands-on monster instinct in the way the film builds anticipation for the creatures. It was written by Mark Huckerby and Nick Osler, and produced on a low budget by studio standards, which forces the movie to get clever with tension and character friction instead of set-piece excess. It didn't have a traditional theatrical rollout, instead premiering at festivals like Fantasy Film Fest in Germany and then showing at Fright Fest in the UK before hitting home release. Ed Spielers plays Joe, a train guard with the particular exhaustion of someone who does his job well and still gets treated like furniture. Around him is a cross-section of passengers who feel instantly legible as archetypes, and then slowly reveal sharper edges, the people who think politeness is a shield. The train stalls in the middle of nowhere and communications fail as the driver disappears. Then something outside starts testing the metal shell like it's trying to remember where the soft parts of humans live. Intrigued already? Well, I sure was. A few sequences lock into your memory without giving away the whole ride. The first attack lands like a slap because the film doesn't announce it with a flourish. It just punctures the illusion of safety. There's a moment when the group realizes the darkness outside is not empty. When the creatures finally assert themselves fully, Howl makes a smart choice of giving you enough to fear them as physical threats, while keeping just enough obscured to let your imagination gnaw on the negative space. The atmosphere is claustrophobic but never static. You feel the carriage shrinking as panic grows. What really makes it pop, though, is how the human ugliness mirrors the supernatural threat. The passengers are not noble survivors dropped into a generic scenario. They are people shaped by status and frustration, and the movie lets you watch that hierarchy crumble. For me, Howl is not simply werewolves attack a train. It's a commuter nightmare turned mythic, where modern civility gets peeled back the way a werewolf peels back skin. It never became a mainstream horror headline, but it absolutely became the kind of film horror fans pass around like contraband. If you want a lean, high-pressure werewolf siege with bite marks in its dialogue, this is the one you throw on tonight and dare your friend to look away. Wildling 2018. If you watched Let the Right One In or read Carrie during your formative teenage years, then Fritz Bohm's Wildling is the meditation on bodily transformation you've been waiting for, and it's criminally underrated. Released theatrically in scattered markets in April 2018 before finding a second life on video on demand, Wildling arrived with virtually no marketing noise, just critical praise and passionate word of mouth. Belle Powley carries Wildling on her shoulders as Anna, a young woman who has spent her entire life confined to an attic by a man she calls Daddy, played by Brad Dourif. Daddy tells her stories about a child-eating monster called the Wildling that roams the forest beyond her prison. He administers daily injections which he claims are treating an illness. What he's actually doing is chemically suppressing her puberty. When Anna finally enters adolescence despite his chemical regime, the film shifts from psychological horror into something far more complex, which is coming-of-age body horror layered with actual bodily horror. Her teeth begin to sharpen, hearing becomes superhuman, and she feels an irresistible pull toward the forest and the northern lights. I think what makes Wildling such a devastating creation is Bohm's refusal to simplify its central allegory. Cinematographer Toby Oliver, who shot Get Out, bathes the film in desaturated blues, greens, and grays, and this acts as a visual language that makes even the forest feel alienating and hostile rather than welcoming. The creature design itself deserves specific praise. Rather than creating a traditionally beautiful werewolf or a grotesquely monstrous one, Bohm and his effects team build something that looks like nature's mistake, a hybrid form that's still recognizably human, but fundamentally wrongly transformed. The final act of Wildling is where some viewers found the film losing focus, and I have to agree with this minor flaw. As Anna flees into the forest with her hunters in pursuit, the narrative becomes increasingly hallucinatory, and Bone literally went to Northern California redwood forests himself to shoot additional nature footage, creating a dreamlike sequence of Anna's further transformation. There's a moment in a cave that gets almost too experimental for the film's own good, but what the third act loses in narrative coherence, it gains in thematic depth. Anna's final image, cradling her newborn werewolf child under the northern lights while hearing the call of other wildlings, is a statement about cyclical violence, inheritance, and the possibility of freedom for those deemed monstrous by society. When critics compared Wildling to Del Toro and M. Night Shyamalan, they weren't wrong. There's a folkloric quality to the storytelling that transcends the modest budget. This is a werewolf film for people who care about character arcs, body autonomy, motherhood, and what it means to be hunted. I still remember this film because of something I have never seen before, as this 1974
The Beast Must Die.
I still remember this film because of something I have never seen before, as this 1974 werewolf murder mystery stops itself mid-film to ask the audience to guess the werewolf's identity during something called the werewolf break, which is a 30-second pause where the film literally halts and you're invited to make your guess before the mystery is solved. Director Annette later admitted that he hated this edition because it stopped the film stone dead, but it's become the gimmick that people remember and the quality of the film itself that keeps it rewatchable. The setup is pure Agatha Christie filtered through werewolf mythology. Millionaire big game hunter Tom Newcliffe invites a curated group to his remote English mansion under the pretense of hospitality, but reveals once they're trapped there that one of them is a werewolf. He suspects it among his gathered guests and nobody leaves until he's identified and killed it. The group includes Peter Cushing as Professor Lundgren, an archaeologist and lycanthropy expert, Charles Gray as a disgraced diplomat, Michael Gambon as a pianist, and several others, each with secrets and suspicious behavior. The mansion is under complete surveillance, CCTV cameras, motion sensors, everything designed to catch lycanthropic transformation in the act. I feel what makes The Beast Must Die work as both a mystery and a creature feature is that it actually respects its own rules. The film plays fair with the audience, providing genuine clues and red herrings. Characters are established with specific motivations. The pianist Jan has a wife Davina with whom he has a suspicious relationship. Paul Foote is a known cannibal. Professor Lundgren seems suspiciously knowledgeable. The film is genuinely playful with its mystery structure, and when the werewolf break comes near the climax with narrator voiceover asking you to name the beast, and it's actually earned your participation because you've been paying attention. The werewolf itself, when finally revealed, is a practical creature design that's more grotesque than traditionally monstrous. The makeup work, credited to Amicus's regular crew, emphasizes the bestial transformation over the romantic. But what distinguishes The Beast Must Die is that it's always about the human mystery, not the creature mystery. The Beast Must Die has developed a cult reputation, particularly among werewolf enthusiasts, because it's so structurally unique and because it treats the genre with genuine intelligence. Director Annette may have hated the werewolf break gimmick, but the film itself remains sharp and watchable. I would say this is essential viewing for anyone interested in how werewolf cinema can function as mystery drama. Where, 2013. William Brent Bell's Where is a found footage werewolf film that came out at the tail end of the found footage boom and went...
Oh, fuck yes. Found footage. That's one of my favorite genres. I love the VHS series. Fuck. Okay, I gotta check this one out. Where, from 2013.
William Brent Bell's Where is a found footage werewolf film that came out at the tail end of the found footage boom and went immediately to video on demand, which is where almost nobody noticed it. It's a film that refuses to be easily categorized and has developed a small but passionate cult following among people who appreciate ambitious misfires. The premise explores a defense attorney who realizes that her client, arrested for a series of brutal murders, is actually a werewolf. It could be comedy gold in the hands of the wrong director. In Bell's hands, it becomes something far more interesting, which is a legal thriller with practical creature effects and a tone that never quite settles but keeps you engaged precisely because of its refusal to be comfortable. I really like how the film uses the found footage fall documentary framework sporadically with security footage, police cameras, interview footage, creating a quasi-legal thriller atmosphere. It's filmed in Bucharest, Romania, which gives the production a gritty, authentic Eastern European texture that enhances the sense of isolation and danger. What makes Where genuinely unsettling is that Bell commits to the practical monster design. Rather than waiting until the final act for a full werewolf reveal, the creature begins transforming throughout the film. The film's greatest strength is its refusal to simplify. There are conspiracies involving land seizure and government cover-ups. The initial murder suspect may or may not be the actual werewolf. The legal proceedings create genuine tension because the film is asking whether transformation is a mitigating factor in homicide, whether a creature that looks human but acts on bestial instinct can be held accountable. The climax becomes chaotic precisely because the rules of engagement keep changing and werewolf transformations occur at unpredictable moments as multiple characters become infected and the traditional narrative of identify and kill the werewolf dissolves into something far messier. When I watch it now in the context of werewolf cinema, it stands out as a film that genuinely tried something different. The found footage framework could have been gimmicky, but it becomes a mechanism for creating legal documentation of the impossible. The practical creature effects still hold up remarkably well. Personally, I feel that Where is a hidden gem for people who appreciate films that swing for the fences, even if they don't always connect.
Awaken to a world of wonder in Final Fantasy XIV Online.
Werewolves Within 2021. Josh Rubin's Werewolves Within is the kind of film that could have been a disaster as a horror comedy adaptation of an obscure video game, created with a limited budget, released during a pandemic when theatrical horror films were bombing at the box office. Instead, it's a genuine surprise and a film that understands how to balance comedy, horror, and genuine mystery without sacrificing any of them. It premiered at Tribeca 2021 to real acclaim and found an audience that appreciated what Rubin was doing, which was making an Edgar Wright-style genre hybrid with heart, humor, and actual scares. I am a huge fan of how the setup is so deceptively simple. Finn Wheeler, a newly transferred forest ranger, arrives in the picturesque small Vermont town of Beaverfield to find the community divided over a proposed natural gas pipeline. He befriends Cecily Moore, the quirky local mail carrier, and meets the eclectic assortment of townspeople that include wealthy yoga studio owning couple Devin and Joaquin Wolfson, conservative conspiracy theorists Trish and Pete Anderton, blue-collar workers, a reclusive sovereign citizen type, and the town's owner of the lodge where everyone ends up sheltering when a blizzard and a series of murders trap them together. That night, a body is discovered, a dog is killed, a hand is bitten off, and the assembled townspeople begin to suspect that one of them is a werewolf. I must admit that Rubin understands the mechanics of both the whodunit and social thriller. I find it intriguing how Rubin plays with this tension constantly, using the werewolf as a mechanism to interrogate small town dynamics, class conflicts, and the way communities fragment under pressure. Sam Richardson is perfectly cast as Finn, a genuinely likable protagonist who's awkward without being annoying, competent without being a superhero, and humanly scared without being useless. Milana Weintraub steals every scene as Cecily, bringing a buoyancy and charm that makes her character feel genuine rather than a collection of quirks. The film's greatest achievement is its final twist. Without spoiling it, the werewolf reveal happens to be someone you like, and the motivation behind the murders is so refreshingly not evil about evil for evil's sake that it creates genuine character surprise. Rubin shot the film in Hudson Valley locations, his hometown, giving it an authentic sense of place. It's the kind of horror comedy that should have gotten a theatrical release in better circumstances and found a massive cult audience. Instead, it premiered during a pandemic and got discovered slowly. If you've never...
I hate that so much. There's a bunch of stories like that. Pandemic, the fucking reset bullshit they pulled on us killed so many things. Imagine if you waited your whole life for your one shot and then 2020 happens, you know? It's gotta be rough. I'm gonna give that one a shot just because of that. It looks awesome. It's like some fucking Yogi Bear on crack.
Seen it, you're missing one of the best werewolf films of the 2020s, a film that proves the subgenre still has room for innovation, humor, and heart. Lowell Dean's Wolf Cop is exactly the kind of Canadian B.
Oh shit, Wolf Cop, and it's a B-side? Fuck yeah, Wolf Cop.
Movie horror comedy that should exist more often, gloriously unashamed of its conceptual absurdity. Made on a $1 million budget in Saskatchewan by a local crew, shot with retro style.
Ooh, I got buddies in Saskatchewan. Did you know that? Fuck. How did it go? Was it North America or was it just Canada? I don't know, but the statistic is Saskatchewan is the place with the most people that have AIDS. The most people that have HIV settled in Saskatchewan for some reason. It's a legit statistic.
Practical effects, and starring Leo Fafard as a alcoholic small-town cop named Lou Garou. Wolf Cop is a film that should have been worthless and instead became a cult phenomenon. The premise is as straightforward as they come. Lou Garou, an incompetent alcoholic cop in the small Saskatchewan town of Woodhaven, is cursed with lycanthropy when he stumbles onto an occult ritual in progress. He wakes up with a pentagram carved into his stomach and no memory of how he got home. As he investigates, his senses sharpen, his wounds heal instantly, and eventually he transforms into a werewolf. Rather than falling apart, Lou embraces the werewolf form because, frankly, his natural instincts are perfectly suited to police work in a way his human personality never was. He's stronger, faster, smarter, and less bothered by the physical toll of pursuing criminals. The film then becomes a buddy cop story where Lou, in werewolf form, takes on gang members, criminals, and eventually discovers that his small town is ruled by a cabal of reptilian shapeshifters. What I find remarkable about Wolf Cop is how seriously it commits to its ridiculous premise. Director Dean stages genuine action sequences. There's a supermarket hostage situation where Lou, in full werewolf form, takes on armed criminals. There's a meth lab raid. There's practical gore and practical creature effects that look far better than they have any right to on the budget. The werewolf makeup is deliberately not hyper-realistic. It looks a bit cheesy, which is exactly the point. The character of Lou Garou is played with surprising depth by Leo Fafard. Rather than making him a joke, Fafard plays him as genuinely struggling with his transformation, genuinely troubled by the things he's becoming capable of, and genuinely invested in protecting his town. The comedy comes from the situation, not the character winking at the audience. The film's third act betrays its low budget more than the rest of the film. The final battle becomes more of a standard action shootout than a creature feature climax, and some of the shapeshifter effects are notably lower quality. Wolf Cop is a film made by people who genuinely loved werewolves, buddy cop films, and grindhouse cinema, and that passion is visible in every frame. Wolf Cop found its audience, spawned a sequel, another Wolf Cop in 2017, and has developed a legitimate cult status. It's the kind...
Oh shit, am I gonna have to check those out? It's giving me shades of Magic Cop by the Zayd Boys. Diaz Brothers. Wolf Cop, Magic Cop.
Kind of film that makes you want more ambitious low-budget werewolf comedies, more filmmakers willing to take genuine creative risks with modest resources. For fans of werewolf cinema, I would say it's essential viewing as a film that proves the subgenre has room for absurdity, humor, and genuine monster movie satisfaction, all in one package. The Company of Wolves, 1984. I still remember the first time
Ooh, 1984.
I saw The Company of Wolves in its original run, when the poster promised werewolf movie, and my brain translated that into...
Oh, look at that poster, bro. Did you see that? There's like the wolf is coming out of the mouth. That's different.
First time I saw The Company of Wolves in its original run, when the poster promised werewolf movie, and my brain...
Look at that. That is fucked up. Ugh. That's a different way of showing the transformation, I guess. He's unsettling. It's like Steven Tyler fucking gagging up a fucking werewolf.
brain translated that into fangs, gore, and full moon mayhem. What I got instead felt like somebody spiked a grim fairy tale with blood-warm wine, then projected it through a cathedral window. That mismatch is exactly why horror fans slept on it. Neil Jordan made this early in his career, teaming with Angela Carter to expand her own short story into something stranger than a straight adaptation. This was the era when genre cinema could still smuggle literary ambition into theaters without apologizing for it. The setup is simple the way myths are simple. A young girl, Rosaline, is pulled into a dream version of an old-world village surrounded by a forest that seems to breathe. Her grandmother arms her with warnings that sound like superstition until the movie makes them feel like survival rules in a world where men can be wolves long before the moon ever gets involved. And then the movie starts dropping its iconic moments like curses. A wedding party becomes a pressure cooker of lust and violence. A priest's moral certainty curdles into something darker. A wolf hunt turns triumphant until the hunted refuses to stay purely animal. As a werewolf movie, it works precisely because it doesn't reduce lycanthropy to a simple curse. Here, becoming a wolf is a metaphor that bites hard. Decades later, the film's cult status makes perfect sense. Modern elevated horror conversations love to pretend this kind of thing started recently, but The Company of Wolves was already doing it using genre as poetry and poetry as a knife. If you want a werewolf hidden gem that feels like it has teeth in your imagination, press play. Just don't stray from the path.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, Nina just built an app. Impossible.
Company of Wolves. I gotta remember that one too.
I caught Bad Moon when it first limped into theaters, the kind of release you could feel the culture ignoring in real time. Years later, it's the sort of slept-on gem you show a friend and watch their face change when they realize how cool the movie really is. Eric Red, adapting Wayne Smith's novel Thor, keeps the story anchored in the house that has to survive the werewolf, and especially in the family dog who senses what the humans can't admit. It all starts with a man who comes back from a trip carrying something he can't confess, and he slides into his sister's life like a splinter under the skin. There's a kid in the mix, which raises the stakes in that cruel, practical way horror does when it wants to make you sweat. And then there's my favorite character, the dog Thor, the only character whose instincts aren't compromised by denial or family obligation. The way the film lets you feel the werewolf's proximity before it shows you anything, building dread with pacing, is almost predator-prey. When the creature finally steps into the light, it's a hulking, physically present nightmare that can actually move, climb, and collide with the environment like something that weighs a couple hundred pounds. It's brutal in that mid-budget 90s way where the camera doesn't cut away to protect you. As a werewolf movie, it nails the core appeal, but it also understands the genre's best trick, which is turning transformation into a metaphor for the monster you refuse to acknowledge until it's too late. If you ask me, I would say that what makes Bad Moon stand out is how it flips the emotional alignment. In most werewolf films, you're glued to the cursed man's tragedy. Here, your loyalty shifts toward the ones trapped in the blast radius, especially the dog, who becomes a kind of silent guardian, reading the room like a detective and acting like a warrior when nobody else will. Put it on at night, volume up, lights low, and let the backyard shadows do the rest. Wolfen, 1981. I saw Wolfen when New York still felt like a myth on film. The early 80s were obsessed with urban decay as horror, and Wolfen used that obsession like a blade. It got marketed like a creature thriller, which is true, but it's also something rarer as a paranoid crime film where the monster is the city's immune system. The concept came from Whitley Strieber's novel, but Michael Wadley, coming off documentary energy, directs it like he's capturing a nightmare that already exists. Albert Finney is a cop whose body looks tired even before the plot starts. The setup detonates with a murder that feels ritualistic, then widens into an investigation through neighborhoods that mainstream cinema treated like forbidden zones. Wolfen makes the South Bronx and abandoned spaces feel like haunted ground, but not in the supernatural sense. I think it's an early in-camera point of view effect that reads like thermal predation, and it's still unsettling because it's a reminder that you're being watched from an angle you can't understand. I also love how the movie doesn't blow every secret in one speech. It lets the dread accumulate like rime on a window. As a werewolf pick, Wolfen is fascinating because it sidesteps the classic rules while still delivering the same primal punch. There's brutality, absolutely, and the violence has a sharp, tearing quality that feels less like slasher mayhem and more like nature reclaiming flesh. James Horner's score early in his career adds to that unease. The villains, if I can call them that, are more than just the creatures. The film keeps pointing the camera at predation in human form too. The film's weirdness comes from how it makes the supernatural feel like an ecological correction, not an evil curse. Wolfen never became the mainstream werewolf classic, partly because it doesn't fit neatly in the box, but that's exactly why it belongs on a deep-cut list. When I rewatch it now, it feels eerily modern in its themes and gloriously old school in its texture. If you want a werewolf-adjacent gem that plays like a gritty urban legend with a badge and a bite, this is the one to resurrect tonight. The Curse of the Werewolf, 1961. There's a particular thrill to seeing a Hammer horror during its original era, when the color felt like sin and the sets looked like they'd been blessed and cursed in the same afternoon. The Curse of the Werewolf is Hammer's lone official plunge into lycanthropy, and it's the kind of film people forget because it doesn't have the brand recognition of Dracula or Frankenstein. But if you actually watch it, you realize it's one of the studio's most emotionally loaded monsters. Terrence Fisher directs with his usual seriousness, treating horror not as a joke but as a doomed romance with violence at the end of it. This is Spain painted in hammer hues, all candlelight and shadow, because the production quite literally used sets built for a shelled Spanish Inquisition project. The story is mythic and cruel, where a child born from violence and misfortune grows up marked by forces he never chose. Oliver Reed plays Leon with that early career magnetism, all physicality and wounded fury. He's a man trying, failing, trying again to live inside a skin that doesn't want to be human. Yvonne Romaine, the mute love interest, gives the film an eerie tenderness, and the film's intended tone becomes clear. This is horror as fate, not horror as shock. There are sequences burned into my memory like old celluloid scars. The first time the curse truly asserts itself, the movie tightens the screws without rushing. Fisher frames Leon's restraint as a kind of heroism, which makes the eventual eruptions feel like tragedy. Roy Ashton's makeup gives the werewolf a stark, animal ferocity that plays beautifully in the film's shadowy lighting. As a werewolf movie, it delivers on brutality, but the brutality has weight. The atmosphere is thick with Catholic guilt and social cruelty, where the real horror is how quickly communities decide what someone is and how impossible it becomes to argue otherwise. The themes are what elevate it into must-watch territory. Leon's arc is heartbreaking because the film keeps showing you his humanity, then ripping it away. Its legacy is quieter than Hammer's marquee monsters, but it's the kind of film that grows in your mind after the credits. I strongly recommend this one, and you'll see how much modern lycanthropy owes to this film's belief that the monster is most frightening when it's also painfully human. Cursed, 2005. I don't think people will disagree when I say that Cursed was supposed to be the werewolf movie that did for lycanthropy what Scream did for slashers. What we got is famously mangled by studio interference, reshaped and reshot until it limped into theaters with scars you can practically see in the edit. The story's broad setup is pure early 2000s Hollywood nightmare fuel, where fame is just another kind of blood scent. Christina Ricci plays Ellie, a woman whose life already feels slightly off balance, and Jesse Eisenberg is her younger brother Jimmy, all nerves and cynicism. One violent encounter with a werewolf turns their lives upside down, and then the film starts playing Spot the Monster through parties, media spaces, and glossy city nights, where danger can hide behind perfect hair and a friendly smile. The project was delayed for years, rewritten and restructured repeatedly, with the Weinsteins pushing changes, reshoots, and a tonal shift that chased a broader rating. Practical werewolves designed by Rick Baker were removed and replaced largely with CGI, and the final cut was trimmed into PG-13 shape, despite the original intention leaning harder and darker. Judy Greer plays the best friend with comedic bite, embodying that Williamson talent for giving side characters a pulse. The movie is at its best when it leans into the idea that LA turns everyone into a performer, and the werewolf is just the performer who finally stops pretending. Most werewolf films go rural to feel primal. Cursed argues you can be just as animal under streetlights and paparazzi flashes. The film is obsessed with identity as performance, who you are when nobody's watching, and who you become when you realize everyone is watching. Its legacy is complicated. If you ask me, I would say that you'll find a surprisingly fun, surprisingly sharp creature feature hiding inside the studio wound, with enough humor, speed, and cursed city flavor to make it worth your time. The Wolf of Snow Hollow, 2020. I first watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow in that strange 2020 autumn when new releases arrived like whispers instead of events, and the world felt halfway unreal. It's easy to miss because it's neither a traditional studio creature feature nor—
Wait, when did this come out? Another pandemic werewolf movie. Yeah.
2020. I first watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow in that strange 2020 autumn when new releases arrived like whispers instead of events, and the world felt halfway unreal. It's easy to miss because it's neither a traditional studio creature feature nor a pure art house slow burn. Jim Cummings writes, directs, and stars, which gives the whole thing a single, tightly clenched voice. On paper—
Holy fuck, writes, directs, and stars? Damn, maybe I'll be able to do something like that one day.
Or a pure art house slow burn. Jim Cummings writes, directs, and stars, which gives the whole thing a single, tightly clenched voice. On paper, the pitch is simple and bodies are found after full moons, and a small-town police department tries to make sense of it. Cummings' lead is a lawman with anger issues, a drinking problem, a teenage daughter he can't fully reach, and an older father whose presence is both comfort and judgment. Robert Forster, in one of his final roles, brings a weary glance that makes every father-son exchange feel like it's carrying decades. The film's tone is the magic trick. It walks a thin line between horror mystery and bleak comedy, and does it without defanging the violence. Cummings shoots the town like a place that should be peaceful, then floods it with dread, as if the white landscape is just a sheet pulled over something rotten. I love how the iconic moments here aren't about showing off a werewolf suit every 10 minutes. The way the film uses the idea of a monster as both a literal threat and a story the town needs to tell itself to make chaos feel orderly is nice to observe. The brutality is there, but it's grounded in the shock of torn flesh against quiet snow. This is a film about the stories men tell themselves to avoid looking directly at their own collapse. Its legacy is already cult-coded for me as a movie that people discover and immediately want to recommend like they're sharing a secret. If you want a modern werewolf entry that feels fresh without disrespecting the primal appeal, The Wolf of Snow Hollow is the one. Wolf, 1994. I saw Wolf during its original run in 1994, back when a studio could drop a glossy adult horror film with
Jack Nicholson?
before. I saw Wolf during its original run in 1994, back when a studio could drop a glossy adult horror film with movie star heat and dare you to take it seriously. And here's the thing, it still works not as a pure creature feature, but as a slick, venomous fable about power, aging, and appetite hiding under the tailored suit of a prestige thriller. Mike Nichols directed it with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer at the center, and the whole project has that rare, we are taking this seriously energy, even when it's getting deliciously primal. On paper, the concept is classic. A man is bitten, changes begin, the beast rises. Ennio Morricone's score gives it an elegant chill, like sophistication with
Oh my god, it's got a Morricone score too. I'm watching this shit.
a pulse underneath. This was an era when studios were still making mid-budget adult dramas with claws, and Wolf was greenlit like a genre-wrapped star vehicle with Nicholson as the aging alpha, Pfeiffer as the smart, bruised romantic lead, James Spader as the smirking shark who thinks he can rewrite the rules. Nicholson's Will Randall is a book editor who's being edged out by younger, slicker predators. The movie's smartest move is that it treats the early stages of lycanthropy as a corporate upgrade. The wolf is a temptation that answers every insult the world has quietly fed him. Will's senses snapping into focus in a way that turns city life into a hunting ground. A confrontation that plays like polite conversation until you realize it's a dominance ritual. Personally, I feel that as a werewolf movie, Wolf is less about full moon slaughter and more about the brutality of becoming what your environment rewards. That's why it stings. And yes, the craftsmanship is real. Rick Baker's involvement on the makeup side is part of why the creature work lands with weight rather than novelty, and the film's awards attention included a Saturn nomination for makeup, among others. What makes Wolf such a hidden gem is that it's a werewolf film for people who like their horror dressed well. And its legacy is weirdly stronger now because modern audiences can finally appreciate what it was doing by sneaking a Predator story into a prestige package, letting big stars play moral rot like it's romance.
Don't raise dragons right off the bat. For new players, at the start of the game, don't rush to raise dragons. You might get a powerful dragon at the beginning, but early resources are limited, and raising dragons can
Brotherhood of the Wolf 2001. I realized after watching Brotherhood of the Wolf that Christoph Gans didn't just make a werewolf-adjacent film, he made an everything movie that still somehow holds together through sheer swagger and atmosphere. It's based on the real historical legend of the Beast of Gévaudan, a creature blamed for killing huge numbers of people in 18th century France, a mystery that has lasted for centuries. That foundation gives the film its mythic weight, even when it's gleefully going off the rails. The story is classic investigative horror, then it mutates. The King's Court sends Fronsac and Mani to Gévaudan to study and stop the beast. The province is a wet, hostile fairy tale full of superstition and political rot. The locals are terrified, the nobility are decadent, the church is powerful, and everyone has a theory about what the beast really is. The film's iconic sequences are the reason people become evangelists about it. There's an early hunt sequence that plays like a nightmare ballet, where the beast feels less like an animal and more like an instrument of punishment. There are fight scenes where Mani moves with lethal grace and the camera treats martial arts as a kind of ritual, a counterspell against chaos. Brotherhood is fascinating because it weaponizes the wolf energy even when it's not strictly about lycanthropy in the classic transformation sense. The beast is brutal, yes, but the movie keeps reminding you that humans can be just as monstrous, especially when fear becomes a tool. What makes it stand out emotionally is the bond between Fronsac and Mani. In most monster investigation movies, the sidekick is functional. Here, Mani is the film's heartbeat, a man who carries a different relationship to nature, to violence, to respect, and the movie uses him to challenge the
Ooh, like that. That's a universal synchronicity happening right now. Universal synchronicity. Alignment. Did you hear that? This movie broke the rules. The sidekick. I didn't know this movie ever existed. Pulling tricks out left and right, baby. See, that's what a real storyteller does. Gremlins.
Fronsac and Mani. In most monster investigation movies, the sidekick is functional. Here, Mani is the film's heartbeat, a man who carries a different relationship to nature, to violence, to respect, and the movie uses him to challenge the hypocrisy of French Enlightenment that feasts on cruelty. I understand its legacy as a genre blender that predicted the modern appetite for elevated spectacle, while still being unapologetically pulpy and fun. If your friend thinks werewolf cinema is only foggy forests and lonely curses, this is the film you put on to prove the subgenre can be operatic, political, and ferociously entertaining all at once. Dog Soldiers 2002. I watched Dog Soldiers when it first hit in 2002, and it felt like horror had finally remembered how to have fun without
Dog Soldiers.
I watched Dog Soldiers when it first hit in 2002, and it felt like horror had finally remembered how to have fun without getting cute. Neil Marshall's feature debut is a werewolf movie built like a combat film, but it still plays like a favorite bootleg you want to force into everyone's hands. It stars Kevin McKidd and Sean Pertwee, plus Liam Cunningham and Emma Cleesby, and it drops a squad of soldiers into a Scottish Highlands training exercise that goes violently wrong when they run into a pack.
Oh, I've seen this one. It wasn't that great.
of werewolves. The story wastes no time romanticizing anything. These soldiers aren't mythic heroes. They're tired professionals with ego, loyalty, and the occasional burst of stupid courage. When the attack comes, it doesn't feel like a spooky legend drifting out of the mist. Werewolves in a lot of films are the curse. Here they're the enemy, and the movie treats the encounter like a firefight with teeth. A few sequences are carved into horror history. The first reveal of what's been stalking them, not as a full glamour shot, but as a sudden, horrifying confirmation that the night has rules and those rules are hungry. The mad scramble into a farmhouse where the film transforms into a classic siege movie, windows barricaded, ammo counted, nerves fraying. The banter that keeps bubbling up, not because the movie wants to undercut tension, but because soldiers joke to stay human when they're staring at something inhuman. The attacks are savage, the wounds look painful, and the film keeps the creatures physical enough that you feel their weight in the space. The moral grayness comes from the fact that the men aren't saints, the situation isn't fair, and survival demands choices that feel ugly. The movie never pretends courage is clean. Its legacy has only grown. It influenced a generation of filmmakers who realized you can make monsters feel terrifying again by treating them like predators, not metaphors, while still letting the characters bleed personality onto the screen. If you want a werewolf movie that feels like Aliens by way of the Scottish Moors, Dog Soldiers is the one you press play on. Silver Bullet, 1985. I saw Silver Bullet when it was fresh in 1985, and it hit with that specific Stephen King era magic of a small-town Americana painted in warm colors, then punctured by something feral that doesn't care about your church picnics or your fireworks. It's based on King's 1989 novella Cycle of the Werewolf, and he wrote the screenplay himself, which is why the whole thing carries that King flavor of lived-in community detail, humor, and dread creeping in through familiar doors. In Tarker's Mill, a series of real killings shatters the illusion of quiet normalcy. The town responds the way towns do in King stories, with denial, then fear, then anger, and then a desperate hunger to blame someone. Marty, a kid who uses a wheelchair, becomes the story's unlikely engine because he's observant and stubborn, and because horror loves an
Wait, how the fuck is he in the forest in a wheelchair? Got off-road tires, all-terrain tires on that wheelchair?
A kid who uses a wheelchair becomes the story's unlikely engine because he's observant and stubborn, and because horror loves an underdog who refuses to accept the official version. Uncle Red, meanwhile, is the messy, big-hearted adult who believes Marty when belief becomes the rarest currency in...
Is that fucking Gary Busey? That is Gary Busey. Holy, look how young he looks.
The Room. There are iconic moments that define the movie without spoiling its best turns. Marty's encounter with the creature is one of those scenes that sticks because it's shot like a nightmare interruption, sudden and intimate. As a werewolf movie, Silver Bullet works because it embraces the monster as both physical threat and social infection. The brutality is there, but what's nastier is the way suspicion spreads. The emotional through line is what elevates it beyond fun King adaptation. For me, it's the werewolf movie you revisit when you want autumn vibes, small town paranoia, and a creature that feels like an old campfire story made flesh. Put it on and you'll remember why the hidden gem label exists. Some movies don't need to be flawless, they just need to sink their teeth into you and refuse to let go. So, as you can see, the genre holds a lot more than what the stereotype dictates. I would love to hear from you in the comments below about which one of these unsung heroes...
Hell yeah. Alright. Play a quick buffer and load up the last segment of the show. Last segment of the morning show. Getting smoky with Glacier in the morning. Yeah. Wakey, eggs and bakey. You're now live, L-I-V-E, with your host, the most froze, the bad boy of indie comics, the hottest ticket in all of indie comics today, where it's not too late to donate. That's right, baby. You can send all donos my way via paypal.me/glacier8888. Hang tight, we'll be back momentarily. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna run through Rand Thanagar issue 3, and then we're gonna get up out of here. It's probably just gonna be a read through, not really a review, maybe a couple things here and there. But yeah, Rand Thanagar, Holy War, issue 3, 2008 Dan DiDio era DC, and I'm told it's a hidden gem, so here we are chugging along to issue 3. So far, I like what they've done with Bizarro and like a religious extremist, even though it's the worst name I've ever heard, Lady Styx, the Lady Styx virus. But yeah, so we continue on with Rand Thanagar, Holy War, issue 3. Yeah. Alright, let me hide this. Like this. And I'm trying to think what would be yeah, I guess we'll read the comic with this music playing in the background. Here we go. Rand Thanagar, Holy War, issue 3. Starlin, Lim, and Hunter back at it. September of 08, 2008. Pretty sick cover. Gripping onto his hand. Alright, here we go. So we're back on Rand. Restoration. Start off with this beautiful splash page. Jim Starlin on the story, Rob Hunter on inks, Ron Lim on pencils, John Cleese on colors, Travis Lanham on letters. So it was Starlin, Hunter, and Cox on the cover art. Tom Palmer Jr. as the editor. This beautiful splash page. Looks like Thanagarians are... Oh, why are they fighting? Ran. This guy's watching up here. The priest who's bringing back the Lady Styx worship. Restoration requires process. Solid foundation must be set before elaboration can commence. For the second coming demands oblation. Only then will technology and the mystical combine and give new life to a philosophy that has been lost since the dawn of time. For our needs, this Randian sacrificial lamb will do quite nicely. Okay, so the Thanagarians are about to sacrifice a Randian. Beautiful. You know, Rob Hunter is doing a pretty decent job on the inks. Alright, look at that. So we're back on Throne World for 3 panels. I kind of like the pacing, how there's like 3 or 4 different stories happening at once and we keep going back and forth. It's pretty cool. We just were on Rand. Go back to Throne World and back to Rand. I like the pacing. Throne World. You must be kidding. We just get one crisis under some control, and now this? There's fat ass Bizarro. Stress eating like a motherfucker. He's ate the whole city's food. He just passes out on top of all the dirty dishes. Long-range scanners picked up the unidentified vessels entering Imperial territory mere minutes ago, Your Highness. How many? Exact numbers are currently unavailable because of the probable use of cloaking technology. Doesn't sound good, but with a little luck, this emergency can be handled before Bizarro awakens from his gluttony-induced nap. Have our faster cruiser readied. I will attend to this matter personally. Uh-oh. Alright, so back on Ran. Scanner readings on the two unexplained anachronisms indicate similar temporal energy signatures. My investigations will begin there. Give me about 1 hour, and I should have at least some preliminary answers for you. Like where these fish out of time are coming from? Hopefully. Animal Man, Starfire. Alright, more panels. Here's Hawkman. Is Sardath up to the job? Is Sardath up to this job, Adam? I know, Hawkman. The older Sardath gets, the older he becomes. More stable. Wait, I know, Hawkman. The older Sardath gets, the odder he becomes. More unstable. The past few years, he's traveled down some dangerously crazy paths. Like his Zeta beaming the entire planet of Ram to the solar system Polaris. Wow. And before that, is creating a squad of clones of himself to supposedly run Ran more efficiently. Now that was a real nightmare. We thought it fortunate when they all eventually came to bad ends. I always assumed the original Sardath survived the cult, but sometimes I wonder. Clearly, the downside to hereditary rule. Adam, look who's arrived. Huh? Thanks for coming so promptly, Comet. How did you get here this quickly? Yeah. Got a little lift from one of Legion's new faster-than-light ships. Comet, look to your left. So Tyrell the dog is like, hey, Comet, pay attention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The weird. I don't know. Well, the two of you really know each other. Yeah, sort of. We are linked. Meaning what? Later, okay? Alright, but I'm afraid the project we requested your aid on may have become a second-rung priority. What with these prehistoric creatures suddenly popping up? Temporal anomalies? That's not good. We currently have no idea what's causing them or what to expect next. Ran has some pretty nightmarish creatures in its history. I am afraid I must inform you that your troubles may not be limited to past perils.
I took this off the body of the Thanagarian warrior who was killed by the prehistoric beast, and noticed that several of his fellow prisoners were wearing similar adornments. Oh crap! Tell me that's not an ELC medallion. I cannot. You're familiar with this emblem? Let's see how many pages we got. Okay, not bad, not bad. Oh, the Throne World. Look at that panel down there. Yeah, that is a symbol of the Eternal Light Corporation Church, a group of religious fanatics that tried to take over Hardcore Station about 6 months back. A lot of people died because of those crazies. Worse still, they just recently resurfaced and have been gunning for me. Your dinosaur problem is nothing compared to what these lunatics are capable of. May I? First, we have everyone on Rand worshipping Lady Styx, and now this. Styx? This kind of religious revival we can live without. Tyrone have the robots start packing up. We're so out of here. He's telepathically communicating with Comet. So Lady Styx gives them the heebie-jeebies. Alright, now we flash deep space. Okay, where are these mystery ships? We're having trouble pinpointing their location, Your Highness. The scanner signal is being scrambled. Getting a fix, Captain. They should be coming into view momentarily. So again, I ask, how many ships are we? By the heavens! Oh! Look at that Hank Hill fucking mouth. This is definitely Hank Hill. They snuck Hank Hill in here. Impossible! Oh, that's a lot of ships. Boy, damn. This is cool double page spread. Who are they? And how did they get this close to Throne World without being detected earlier? I'm afraid I have no answer for either of your questions, sir. I would highly suggest a strategic and immediate withdrawal from the area, Your Highness. No, open a hailing frequency and let's see if I can salvage something from this debacle. Hailing frequency. Attention, approaching spacecrafts. Prince Gavin of Throne World speaking. You have entered Imperial territory without authorization. Please identify yourselves and state your business. Oh, shit. Oh no. Fucking way. They fucking blew them to smithereens. Holy shit. What a page reveal. Well, I guess they stated their business. I like these, I don't see that a lot. These swirls in the explosion. I dig it. It gives us some kind of other movement where it kind of feels splashy, you know? It feels like wetness in space. Cool ship design too. It's like a fucking beetle. Alright, so now we're back on RAM. Commander Strange, I thought you might be interested in this prisoner. He
He was captured at an illegal mining site, apparently unconscious from strong drink. Tiger? Oh shit. How's it hanging, Strange? Lock him up. Wait a minute. The Omega Men had a run-in with Lady Styx, didn't they? Yeah, that was a tough fight. We are presently having some difficulties concerning her. You help us out with this, and your sentence gets commuted. Well, seven-page panel. Toss in some hot Java and few aspirins, and you got yourself a deal. 'Cause I'm hungover as a motherfucker. Terrific. Now the team includes a drunken terrorist. We're leaving. No, we're not deserting these folks. Listen, we came here in good faith and find the place crawling with eternal lighters who are trying to off me and Lady Styx crazies who did manage to once kill me. Unsafe working conditions, contract canceled. So where in the universe do you run to? Where you figure you'll be safe? Well, that's what I thought. So let's get to work, okay? Good body gesture on this silhouette. Giving off shame. Hardcore Station. So we're back at Hardcore Station. Legion scanners have recently detected illegal temporal activity from within Hardcore Station Max. Someone on your beat is violating a good half-dozen intergalactic laws, Chief. Thanks for the heads up on this, Frill Docs. My Justice Department will thoroughly investigate the matter. Your department will do its job without Legion's assistance. Thank you. Shit. Over and out. Sergeant, get the tech guys working on this. Top priority. Within the hour, I want to know who on Hardcore is messing with the time. Yes, sir. And now we flash back to Rand. Oh no. What the fuck? Upside down cross. Sacrifice the Lady Styx. Holy shit. That's gnarly. Holy war. Give terrified expressions. Top down angle. Sacrilege! Jet packing up. One of the Ranians has been fucking crucified upside down. Sheesh. And so my research has led me to believe that a far more intense temporal event elsewhere in the universe opened a sort of side door from which came our prehistoric visitors. My theory is that they are unintended byproducts of a larger, criminally reckless manipulation of time. This tampering is happening where? A good question, but unfortunately one I cannot answer presently. A third temporal event is required before I can run a triangulated trace to ascertain the emanation's point of origin. So we've no choice but to wait. Let's hope the next event doesn't bring anything near so lethal as the last one did. I'll set up patrols to keep an eye out for unexpected occurrences and trouble. Excuse me. Seeing that we are all gathered together like this, there is something I would like to propose. Holy starfire cleavage. This assemblage is filled with exceptionally talented and heroic individuals. Such a group may, again, never come together. So, I suggest that this time we form an organization similar to the Justice League of America. Perhaps we could call ourselves the Cosmic Guard, or something like that. Hawkman, let's use this time to work on that telepathic broadcaster. I better be getting back to Aaliyah. You don't like the name? Buddy, how's Ellen? What did she think of my joining you on this trip? She's doing fine, and I sort of didn't tell her. Everybody's like, nah, we're not forming no fucking group with you. Forget it, weird. Everyone here already belongs to some other group, or wouldn't be caught dead in one. Okay. We can talk about this later. The Rust Pot and I will set up our monitoring system. Have you heard the word of Lady Styx? No. She is salvation. Okay, maybe. We can talk about this later. Of course. You poor damned fool. Alright, we're back on Hardcore Station. Looks like they're doing some tinkering. Countless cosmic events have led up to this sacred moment, gentlemen. The proper stellar alignment is at hand. The required incantations and sacrifices have been made. Alright, I'll be right back, taking a quick intermission. Alright, we are back. You are now live with your boy, Glacier. Yeah. Let's finish Rand Thanagar Holy War issue 3. Back where we left off. So we're back at Hardcore Station. Oh. So these guys will get discovered soon. Find out who's messing with time at Hardcore Station. The proper stellar alignment is at hand. The required incantations and sacrifices have been made. Sacred moment. Now, the universe's astral destiny lies within your hands. Seek and find. Do not fail me. A little less harassment would be helpful, Dark. This poking around in time is no easy job. You think you can do better? The controls await you. My physical nature precludes me from operating it, which is why you were hired. Then let us please work in peace. I've got a hit. I think we may have him. Praise the prophets. Shit. Ooh, this is nice. Man, they wasted a double-page spread on a fucking volcano. I don't know if I agree with that. Back on Rand. Sir, I believe that unusual event you had us looking for just occurred. What is it and where did it happen? Just look out the window, sir, and see for yourself. You're not gonna believe this. Good Lord. Yeah, that's got to be it. Oh, shit. We didn't feel the slightest tremor. No disturbance whatsoever. It appears this time shifting is a rather subtle process. One we definitely have to put a stop to. That volcano could just as easily have appeared atop Ranagar as beside it. Wonder if Sardath got those readings he needed. Those floating heads too, like I don't know what's up with this page. Some strange choices being made. He did! Fortunately, I set the triangulation scans to respond automatically to the event, which was nearly instantaneous. So where is this central tampering taking place? Within a satellite your friend Comet is quite familiar with. Hardcore Station. Right on, the first guest. Oh shit. Look how excited this nerd is finding out the answers. Back in deep space. Eye-opening panels. What? Now that was an exceedingly unfriendly gesture by our visitors. Is he the only one still alive? Where's his crew? Not to mention quite fatal to my crew. Well, there it is. If you know, you know. You know what that means. Fatal in the center. They think they can get some sharp. Lucky for the Empire, my cosmic staff automatically acted to protect me. Lucky for the Empire? Okay. You say so. Prince Gavin. That fleet was heading directly for Throne World. Nothing we did would have caused them to change course. Which means I better kick it into hyperdrive. I have a planet that needs defending. Oh, I like that. It incinerated the panel border. Good little trick by the colors. Gives a little bit more zap. Shit, I might have to go walk the dog. Yeah, we'll be right back. Let me mute up. Alright, we're back. Let's finish this thing. Yeah. Alright. So hardcore station, the cat's out of the bag. Seek and find are in trouble now. People are on to what's going on. It's coming from hardcore station. Look sharp, crew. This is where that unauthorized temporal activity is emanating from. Lay the charge, Sergeant, and back off. Set. Fire in the hole. Freeze! Huh? Seek and find? Chief Justice Max? How nice to see you again, if only for the moment. Oh, old-fashioned smoke grenade, huh? Look at that thing, though. Looks like a fucking... Not even gonna say. Smoke grenade! Everyone, switch to infrared visualization. Don't let those creeps get away. Sergeant. What's going on here? This can't be Seek and Find's work. It is not. Oh, shit. Somebody got decapitated. And he's holding... Oh, shit. They brought him back. Sinar! Impossible! Okay, so here's a nice DC villain that could be of some use today. Why? Because you witnessed my death years past? Base betrayer Sinar serves the omnipotence, that is, the nameless, the omnipotence, omnipotence. When engaged in such holy work, nothing is impossible. I dig his design. Beautiful splash page with inlet panels. Villain introduction. Is that a moon crest at the bottom of his loincloth? Let's see. Huh, maybe it's just a choice in coloring. Oh shit, so we're back on Ram. I'm leaving Hawkman in charge of operations while we're away. Really? No arguments, Sardath. The Thanagarians try anything. No one's better suited to deal with them. Very well. There's Tygor and his true religion onesie. Tygor. But before you depart, you should know my research has revealed that this medallion is actually a highly sophisticated transmitter of brainwave altering emanations. Long distance brainwashing? Exactly. Which explains the Thanagarian's sudden conversion to that heathen religion. Obviously, my next task is to determine the transmission's point of origination for you. Good work, Sardath. We'll get on that as soon as we're back from Hardcore Station. Dog. The name's Tyrone, Baldy. Have you heard the word of Lady Styx? Yeah, she enslaves and eats people. Another infidel, I see, and proud of it. Ruff. Oh shit, double page splasher. This is the place, and now all we have to do is... Comet? What the... This ain't how I left it. Oh shit. All these people, and no one's moving? Damn, Starfire looking like Whitney Houston. And the silence. What happened here? The Eternal Light Corporation is what happened here. That's their symbol. My pal Max is hanging from. Let's haul him down and then get ourselves out of here. Markedly different from the last time I visited. Quite an improvement. Yeah, they snuck a Star Wars guy in here. Max, what's going on here? Walking Dead. Saw him die. Who's he talking about? Sinner. A sinner? More religious craziness? But craziness that can shatter battle armor. Years back, there was this alien named Sinner. Max had a major dust-up with. That who you're talking about, pal? Sinner. It is. I calculated that displaying Chief Justice Max in such a fashion would bring you out of the woodwork, Comet. Having you running loose would just not do. So... Wait, what the hell? Comet them and zapped them. What the? Huh? Knocked his head off that easily? It looks like it's kind of screwed in too. Animal Man's hitting us with the... Where'd he go? And was he ever really here? Oh shit, everything's mannequin. Gross. Deacon Dark is a creature of energy. What you hold is his physical disguise, which he has clearly abandoned. Oh, Animal Man's holding his body. It kind of blends into Tigor's fucking costume. Should have been colored differently. So what did this Deacon Dark do to everyone on Hardcore Station? They all seem to be in some kind of trance. Telepathically, all I'm getting from them is white sound. It should be called white noise. I think they fucked that up. Five more pages. Praise Starfire. Praise Starfire. Yeah. The satellite's life support is still functioning. No communication chatter at all. There's a number of spacecraft in the orbit around the station. Nothing coming from them either. Gonzo. Buddy, Corey, we could use a bit of aerial reconnaissance. We're on it. No heroics. Nothing to get heroic against up here, Strange. There's absolutely zilch moving as far as the eye can see. I've been on hardcore before, Adam. Again, man, the coloring is not very good. And I tell you, I have never seen the place like this. It's become a virtual ghost town. Except the citizenry isn't dead, just zoned out. I think it's time we get out of here, Strange. Not yet. The scanner's still picking up low-level temporal energies. All the more reason for us splitting and maybe calling in the Green Lantern Corps. I think we need a few more answers first. Forget your answers. Relax, hotshot. Relaxing is just going to get us all dead. These lighters are into mass killing. On second thought, maybe Comet's right. About leaving, I mean. You see something, Tigor? It's not what I see that's disturbing. Steady, my brother. I ain't your brother. It's what I no longer see that's more than a little unsettling. Dark's clothes and prosthetics are gone, and my highly sensitive hearing didn't catch anything. Where'd he go? Right behind you, infidels, and this time I brought along friends. Oh shit. Are we ending on a double page spread? Yeah. Oh fuck, there's Sinar, man. His design is badass. They gotta bring him back to something in DC current times. It's a good villain right there. But I guess he could possibly be confused with Atrocitus, maybe. I don't know. Submit to the glory that is the nameless, or perish where you stand. So commands Sinar. This plane of existence's new celestial leader. Yeah. That dude doesn't look very dead to me. Oh, look at that cool translucent construct gun. And still more religious lunacy. Oh god, we're all going to be turned into zombies. Back in deep space. From bad to even worse. I recognize the emblem on those ships from a notice the Green Lantern Corps sent out. Very cool page design. In the center, he's flying towards us. Love it. Then it leads you down to the sacrifice. Good stuff going on here. That fleet belongs to Lady Styx. Oh shit. She's some kind of holy monster that goes around destroying entire planets. And she's heading for Throne World. Have to get there before they do. Looks like Bizarro may just turn out, after all said, to be a blessing in disguise. Yeah, Bizarro's gonna help them with Lady Styx. That's fire. This is a good panel. But I'm not sure why his hair has to be the only thing besides his staff breaking the panel. Weird little tangent right there. Ran! We're back on Ran. Here's Sardath. Is he preaching the word of Lady Styx to everybody? My fellow citizens, the blasphemous crucifixion of one of our gallant soldiers must surely prove to be the final insult. We cannot allow this Thanagarian outrage to go unpunished. These heathens flaunt their pagan beliefs at us with the blood of our finest. Stirring up the pot. Sardath, what are you doing? We offered the Thanagarians friendship, and they responded with war. We have petitioned for peace and been answered with sacrilege. The proud people of Rand do not deserve such criminal and insolent treatment. The wretched Cretans of Thanagar have proven to be highly unacceptable neighbors and undeserving of continued existence. The heavens must be cleansed of this abominable race. Kill them all! No more! Shit. People of Rand, you are talking genocide. Surely you do not intend to go down that dark path. Think about what you are planning. This Hawkman is not one of us. Just look at him. He's just gotta be a Thanagarian spy. Don't listen to him. And he's got back hair too. Look at this crazy cut. It's like fucking Julius Caesar's crown, but with male pattern baldness. Oh my god, they killed him? Get him! Kill him! This is crazy! Oh my god. Oh my god, they're dogpiling on top of fucking Hawkman. Holy shit. That's brutal. Oh my god, they fucked them up. Look at the fucking plucked out feathers. Holy shit. Oh, Adam. What am I going to do? Everyone's gone insane and racing toward Armageddon. I can't stop this lunacy alone. To be continued. Damn, they done killed Hawkman. Holy fuck. That is dark. How'd I get this far ahead? Holy fuck. What? Issue 5? You didn't even see issue 4, you bitches. What is this shit doing? Reading comics digitally is hard work. Return of the prodigal son. Alright, so that's gonna be issue 4. Yeah, it's cool perspective for the cover. Coloring not so great. They didn't push things back. It's to be continued. Return of the Prodigal. Alright, so whenever the next time I stream is, that is one we'll cover issue 4. So yeah, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for the stream. Keep in mind, my PayPal and Twitter handle are both in the banner scrolling across the screen below. Follow me on Twitter for behind the scenes looks at works in progress. You could see all the art we got going on for all the comic books before they ever go to print. You never know what you're going to see. Layouts, pencils, inks, fully colored pages, fully lettered pages, character designs, concept designs. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter if that's your thing. And also the PayPal is in the banner scrolling across the screen below. I'd like to remind you that it's not too late to donate. You can still send donos my way via paypal.me/glacier 8888. paypal.me/glacier 8888. Yeah. Make sure you leave a like and leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And for sure, turn on that notification bell so you can be notified every time I go LIVE live. And yeah, turn on that notification bell because I'm definitely going live again later. I've got the itch to play some UFC. Try to play UFC 4 like it's actually me fighting. Like, what would I do? Circle, block, set up a fake, grab the leg. And so it's getting pretty fun. So I'm going to definitely do a UFC 4 gaming stream. And I'd say probably like hour and a half. So maybe about like 2 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back with the UFC 4 gaming stream, Gaming with Glacier. And we'll probably listen to some tarot, some divine readings, divine messages relayed to the collective worldwide. But until then, you guys handle your business. It's Saturday. Get some shit done. And let me just pick an outro and we'll get up out of here. I guess we'll go out the same way we came in. Let me cue that up. And remember, paypal.me/glacier 8888. paypal.me/glacier 8888. Yeah. No matter what they do, no matter what they try to execute, I will never be stopped. My debut to the world, Sledheads, issues 1 and 2, together, combined in hardback, is coming. Glacier, winter is upon you. The new era, the new age, the ice age. Funny books will have a second wind off the backs of creators like the Glacier. Comic books will rise again. Anime and manga. You mangaka. You weebs. All the anime is getting redundant. The tables are turning. The pendulum is swinging back this way. And we will remind the world on a global scale that the West is superior. The West is supreme. I guarantee there will be before Glacier And after the glacier, after sled heads hit the world, a new era, a new age, the ice age, yeah. And you all got front row tickets. You got floor seats to see it all happen in front of your eyes. Still I rise, yeah. Thank you so much for watching live and on the playback. I appreciate each and every one of you like you wouldn't believe, yeah. Make sure you stay alert and stay tuned. Announcements coming soon. Sledheads. The Gun Fu Supernatural Super Sentai Rom-Com. With art by Christian Rossi on issue 1. And art on issue 2 by you thought I was gonna, yeah, nah. Issue 2, Top Secret, yeah. It's gonna be a beautiful, beautiful thing. Worldwide. Thank you so much. Until next time, folks. Glacier out. Yeah.
Suck my dick. Every fucking shot. What's that cheetah nigga?
Hey, watch the G to the sky, never put it over for a while.
Smoking everybody.
Even my girl, I know that.
Everything dead. My dick.
Come on, CJ, you see me when I ain't see you. Nigga, you ain't even make a move. So how the fuck when you see me, you gon' shoot? I don't know who the hell in the booth. He say he gon' jelly pop on my coffin. Nigga suck my dick like ain't nobody gon' smell how I saw God. Hey, yo, jacking out what's that friend like smoking on yellow. No one, Diddy. And be love ain't still do shit. Tiki man, dumb ass got hit. That's what of my mother, they never did shit. Like smoking on you, butter, quarter. Tell the bridge to pick up a stick. Like feed it, that I got put in a split. They know PT niggas be on that shit. And I'm trying to pack me an old while. I still be searching for jiggies. Family first, so we see the fly cars. And Charlie don't live without bitches. It's like how many dead niggas do y'all got? Free the guys, the score like a walk. He jack what he cake and put in a box. I told Rico just let up some shot. No, gotta go empty a top. Like we got 1 million ops. So we need 1 million chops. So G's don't crash me, signing for cops. And Nicky put this on my block. Like who got touched, like who got shot. And I fell in love with my chop. And that's what I do, we fucking y'all thought.
So bro, he get shot or be towing on Kelly. And I hope that I catch him with Kelly. Like smoking on country, that shit got me deadly. Brought the Oiko dick on her belly. Niggas talk on the net, but they know we don't lie. Mr. Don't got the pole, he get scat. If he jacking no G's, he get shot in his back. AJ lucky that he not a pack. Nigga teed on my brody go 50 for 50. D-Tex right up there, make him get jig. Bought a flock of shots going past up the city. Been around, you gon' end up like this. Been around, we looking for Scotty. List the front cause they talk on Mulati. I keep a 30, can't wait to catch 9. And D-Tex off 30, he look like a zombie. Fuck that look, no, he resting in piss. Smoking on smelly, got poked in his ribs. Benji got trying to spin with no tents. Nigga RB got hit up and what heck I did. Bally Rocky a bitch, and he ran on his bitch. SCG on my up and blitz. Remember Brody had both of they wives in the crib. That's on bro, man, they both for him. In case sister got shot, he still want a rap beat. If that was me, would've been in Niggas dissing, but we putting niggas on black tees. He got hit cause he tryna act fly.
I'ma start it like where I left fourth that. Bitch, I'm back in the field with my dogs at every outside catch. I'ma off that. Every outside he get left like a floor mat. And what's up with these new niggas rapping? Grab a gun and go get you some action. We shoot movies, we ain't with the acting. Fuck Green Baby, we do all the packing. Like DJ my brother, I'm taking our wrist like that's just capping and catching no hits like Rush got beat, he got beat out his kicks like Millie Watt got beat with a stick like OGs, but they never on none. Catch black or recent in the dozen. Say this is my black, but that boy said he bluffing. Up on CG, don't care if we cuss. We selling that shit like it's RPT bugging. Like Benji got shines, like Diddy got shines, and like you got shines. Mama said Kevin didn't really get over me. When y'all black, we doing it comfortably. That gon' cap, but y'all really look up to me. Dougie got shine, he's still in recovery. But y'all know what we usually do. Screaming wide toe, we feel the boom. Like Bendu, my brother, he know what to do. Stunning, he geeking, that boy be home soon. Every spot I was in, I saw bro I was living. Say he touching me, he gotta be shit. Niggas get hit and they wanna play victim. Pick them guns and them niggas start snitching.
What's that DJ nigga make it get jiggy before we shoot him, you heard?
Hey, what's that band?
RP, whoa.
That's that cheetah nigga.
No, LLD for life.